and you're set to go.
You're live.
Yay! Hey, this is the Sword and the Pen Reflections. It is my casual alternative to another channel that I don't have a link for, but maybe I'll put one in afterwards. This is my first attempt at a live stream with the help of my sister, who we are still deciding on a name for, but she goes by
MachineGun Bunny
for now.
Yeah.
Also,
someone said MGB, and I liked that because it was short.
MGB is good.
Yeah.
Always use fake names online, people, especially ladies.
Yeah, creeps.
Oh, there we go. I can hear us now.
Okay, good. We had a lot of technical difficulties. I take none of the blame, and yet somehow I feel like it's all my fault. So both of us being tech challenged doesn't help.
Yeah, it took us a little while to figure a few things out, but we want to make sure that everything sounds good to you guys. So before we really get into this, let us know if anything sounds really weird. If it does, we're going to work on it. So just let us know in the chat. My sister will be the one to let us know if we need to change anything.
Yep, let's see.
Sounding good to me.
I'm gonna have to
I know you're totally deaf. You have no idea what's going on.
That's okay. I mean, I hear you, so that's okay.
But let's see.
But yeah, how's it sound, guys? Any echo or anything before we get started?
I'm gonna guess that it's okay, and I'm just gonna take this out now.
Yeah, Pink Peony says, "Good to me." Cursed Kelpie, that's an amazing name. Says, "I kind of want to hear the story of how you falcon punched a rock."
Oh, okay, yeah. So should we get into... So there's a few things that we can go over today. Because we were shuffling technical issues and kids, we didn't quite get to go over some of the cool technical stuff I wanted to do with you, but that's fine. So here's what I was thinking we'll do today. We'll do Rings of Power I have to talk about.
Yes.
I have to talk about it with somebody because I had to watch those last few episodes by myself up in Alaska. And it was horrendous.
And she tried getting me to watch them. She's like, "Hey, you want to put them on while we're hanging out?" And I was like, "No."
You're like, "Oh, I got some homework.
Oh, I have to study."
You don't have homework. So there's Rings of Power, stuff that happened in Alaska, and then introducing you to people, because I don't think everybody knows who you are other than the fact that she's my sister and she's been in disguise in the Discord as MachineGun Bunny for a while.
That's actually the entirety of my persona.
Machine Gun, what? You're my sister?
I'm your sister, and
yeah. No, you're so much more. Okay, so there's those three things, and then if we have extra time, we can go into, you're a big fan of Fallout.
Yeah.
And the new trailer for The Last of Us came out.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Neither did I. I forgot to watch it. I just remembered that I wanted to talk about that today, too. Oh, well, that's okay. So let's start out, though, with a few minutes of just chit-chatting with people. Prayer. You guys should pray for us, because I don't know how this is going to go.
We need it.
So let's see. Anything in the chat for us?
Let's see. Grumpy Chunks there. It's so disappointing that a production with the budget they had wasn't given to people who were more apt to follow the source material better. We had a shot and we missed it.
Yeah, that was Peter Jackson actually said very explicitly, we didn't want to put any of our own stuff into the movies. And he's talking about the first three. Let's not discuss The Hobbit. I know it doesn't exist.
It's like a video game or something.
It is. It's so weird. So he was very, very particular about how they approached the first three movies, because he knew how beloved they were and how exciting it would be to fans, and there are so many of us, to see an adaptation that is faithful. And yeah, a lot of changes had to be made, and there are not all perfect changes. Some of it's kind of not good, but the majority of it is excellent, and there's a lot in it that was changed, and it still honored the material. It still honored the themes. It honored the characters, or it amplified something about them to make whatever journey that they're on a little bit more potent. I think that's really good for storytelling. And not Peter Jackson, Tolkien. Who did I almost say? I almost said J.R.
Rowling.
I almost said J.K. Rowling. J.K. Tolkien.
J.R. Rowling.
No, J.R. Tolkien. And then there's G.R. whatever. Anyway.
George R.R. Martin.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, the Tolkien guy.
Right.
So he what was I saying? Oh yeah. When he was writing, it was during a time when big epic fantasy like this wasn't really well established. I mean, there was epic fantasy, but we call him the grandfather of fantasy because he was the most popular to really sit down and put a lot of work into it, into the world building, into the themes, into the characters. But if you were to write this again today, I guarantee you he would go in and he would cut out a lot of things, not because it's pointless, but because he would know that it's not amplifying the things that he wanted to do in the best way either. So there's always room for growth, and even from the master. But he did such an excellent job that Peter Jackson was like, I can't do better than that. And even if I do, I better make sure I do it. Or if I do try to change something, I better get it right. And so there was a lot of thought put into every single step. And I feel like they're just not doing that with Rings of Power.
Yeah.
So
it's someone actually mentions in the chat. So Curse Kelpie mentioned Elrond kissing his mother-in-law.
Oh my gosh!
But then it is brought up that like they didn't really have source material. They just bought the right to some appendixes. And then Curse Kelpie actually said again, I stand by The Hobbit since it kept the soul of the original Rings of I stand by The Hobbit since it kept the soul of the original. The Rings of Power did not at all. I get that a little.
Yeah. I think that, so the challenge I bet was in bringing in more stories. I think they brought in the story of the necromancer so that they could have more going on than just, it's a battle against Smaug. Like the whole story is a battle against Smaug.
Mm-hmm.
And then to have that stretched across 3 whole movies like that's 3 novels essentially. So they had to figure out what can we do to fill in some of these gaps to stretch it out a little bit longer. And it should have been a 2-parter, which I'm pretty sure that's what Peter Jackson wanted to do. But Warner Brothers wanted another trilogy. So I don't know why they think that it's a good idea to like mimic what you've done in the past. No. Just because it was a trilogy that worked out doesn't mean that all your epic fantasies have to be trilogies now.
Yeah.
You can do a duality. That's fine. Like a duality works great.
That seems to be the new trend, though. Every book has to come out with 3 books. Even it's like, come on, man, that did not need to be 3.
Really the Lord of the Rings, I think, was the one that set the
just pull a Harry
pace
Potter.
for people. Harry Potter.
7 books. Turn the last book into 2 movies.
There you go. As long as you're not ending your movie, if you're doing an adaptation, if you're not doing it in the middle of the story, that is so freaking obnoxious without letting people know in advance. Like Dune almost ticked me off because they didn't get further than they did, but it was so well done, I didn't care. Anyway.
Yeah, actually, because that's a good example. Like freaking Dune just ended.
But it's such a long story.
Yeah, and it was so good. Like it was the first movie. I loved it. I'll totally watch it again and again. You know
what I heard that people didn't like the first one. They thought it was too slow. I was like, felt like the exact same pacing as Game of Thrones.
Felt like really dry Avatar in the desert. Like I got that same theme of just like lots of scenery and like loud noises and lots of just watching and staring.
The tone,
and, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but see, you want to do that. You want to immerse your audience in what the world is going to be, so that way they feel like they're in it. And then what do they do in the second movie? What's the first scene of the second movie? Do you remember?
It's the voice of the like.
No. The first scene of the second movie, not the voice part, but the first scene that we open up on. It's Paul and his mother with the what are they called? The sand people. It's they're attacking some of the bad guys basically.
Yeah, and that was exciting.
It's very intense.
Yeah,
and so they didn't need to set the tone. We know this is a stark landscape. We know that this is they're on the run and these are the bad guys. We didn't need any explaining. We didn't need anything. We just right into the action. So I liked that. But people, I guess, didn't like the pacing of the first one as much. I loved it. I actually liked the pacing of the first one better than the second, only because I was there for the palace drama, essentially.
The historical drama.
Yeah.
The historical documents.
That's what it is. It's Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah. All right, Pink Peonies did a super chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
I said I was going to be paying extra attention to super chats.
How much is it?
$49.99.
Holy cow. Pink Peonies, what the heck? Like, you're super generous every single time. Thank you. Every little bit helps so much. I spent a lot of money on this Alaska trip. Buying all this equipment. Like, I have the fancy light on my sister. She's got the fancy light now. But when I'm doing my videos from now on, that's the one I'm going to use. It's a good one. It's a good light.
It's overwhelming. You guys can't see it, but it's like this gigantic.
It's about the size of a real life umbrella.
Yeah, it's a real life umbrella.
Like you would use
an umbrella of light.
A generous umbrella. Like a family size umbrella.
A couple people are bringing up the Elrond kiss.
Okay. I definitely want to talk about that. Did you not hear about that?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. So the most ridiculous thing about it, because I'll admit that I was only half paying attention for most of the episodes. I've watched the show all the way through now twice because I had to watch it a second time to get all the stuff that I missed the first time, because I'd be watching and just like stop paying attention. And it happened so many times. My poor sister in Alaska, she was so annoyed because there was one time when I watched the same scene, I swear, like 5 times, because I would start it and then I'd be like, and then something important happened, I think. And no, but what was I getting at?
Talking about the Elrond kiss.
Oh, the Elrond kiss. Okay, yeah. So I thought that I had missed something, that they had built up this like romantic tension between Elrond and Galadriel. So I was looking for it the second time around. And there's none. There is none. And then it was in that second time watching it that I was like, oh my gosh, this was a diversion. They were distracting the bad guys so the bad guys wouldn't see him passing off a lockpick to her.
I feel like there's a million other ways to do that. Did the elves not hug?
They could have done anything meaningful. Like
they could have done a chest bump.
You know why they did a kiss? Because they're like, oh man, think of all the people who've been wanting to see, like, you know, yes, exactly. It was so YA. Like, this whole season was really, really YA. Like, it was very young adult romance. And that is so insulting to Tolkien. I'm sorry. Like, the closest thing you have to a YA romance in Tolkien is, well, I'm not going to say all of Tolkien, because I have not read some of, I know, like, Perrin and I forgot the name of the other guy. There's these two characters. Anyway, it's a romance in a novel, but let's just look at the Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Okay. You've got Éowyn wanting Aragorn. And how does it end? Like very adult and kind of tragic for them. Like for her, for them.
Yeah.
You know?
For her mostly.
Yeah. Like she's had this hard life where she's alone. Everybody that she loves is like dead. She's had to watch them die. And all she wants is Aragorn, and he's so good. And like, you know, she sees the strength in him that would be the perfect partner for her. And she doesn't get him. And he has to like turn her down. That's the most YA thing in that whole story there.
Yeah.
And it's handled in a very adult sort of way. Like, it doesn't always work out, and we didn't do anything to make you go squee. Right? Yeah. So she was basically just longing, and he was just like, I'm being nice to you, but I'm sorry. I'm taken.
I'm taken. And she's an elf.
Yeah. Good luck. Plus, he was like, how old was he?
Like 400 or something? Or
no, 600? He was like, was he 75?
I thought he was in his hundreds. Like I said, I'm a Tolkien expert.
Oh, yeah, he's in his hundreds. I can't remember.
Someone will correct us. Bo Hort corrected us on Sand People. They're Fremen.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Fremen. I love Dune. I've read it several times.
I want to read it. I haven't read that one, but I want to.
You know, it's very dry science fiction. It's not like, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so into it. But
I like that dirty science fiction, the weird stuff.
You do like the weird stuff. She likes, what's it called? Neo-weird?
It's like, is it called Neo-weird?
Bio-weird?
Bio-weird.
Bio-weird. Like, what's the Shimmer one? Annihilation.
Annihilation, yeah, that's that whole series. He has a better one, though. That author has a better one called Born. I love that movie. Or book.
It's not a movie. No. Oh, it's going to be, though, isn't it?
I think I heard someone bought the rights to it. I hope they do a good job.
I don't know how they're going to do it.
No, it's too weird. It's too weird.
But you know what? I probably would have thought that Annihilation was too weird.
Yeah. They could do it animated.
Born is way weird.
It is weird.
Okay. So, what were we talking about?
The kiss, and then someone else said, Dane Bornhold said, The Hobbit is the only book you can read in less time than watching the movie. Other people say that they found it slow. Joshua Templeton found it slow and boring. It lacked the shock of the books. I'm guessing he's talking about
Dune?
Okay, yeah, I could see that if Joshua Templeton, are you talking about Dune? Because I could see that. Because don't they like milk hamsters and stuff in Dune, the book? Like it gets weird, right?
Okay. I don't recall milking hamsters, but they go through a lot to get water. Like they talk about how like you just pee in your suit and it filters it and you drink that.
But they do that in the movie too.
Yeah, but they don't go into it. They don't really say it explicitly.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if you're talking about Dune, okay, so I think they must be talking about Dune. That Dune had shock. I think most people remember the scene with the hunter seeker in the book because to me it's the first moment where I'm really present with the protagonist and his life is in danger and you're like, what's he going to do? Like you can't move. He just has to stand there until somebody comes and saves him, you know? And then, so I thought that was done so well in the movie. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I think that they ramped up some of the politics and some of the family drama. I think it was really ramped up. Jessica and forgot the name of the dad. Lady Jessica. Leto. Or they called him Leto in the movie. I've always called him Leto, but okay, whatever.
I liked him either way. I love that actor.
Yeah, I liked him too. They ramped up some of the drama, but that's kind of something you need to do in a film because people aren't watching a film strictly for, unless you're into Star Trek, but even there, the best Star Trek episodes were character driven. So you want to ramp up some of the relationships and, like we looked at the tragedy of, Jessica is a concubine. She was never the wife, but it wasn't the insult that it would seem to be, from especially a Western perspective, we would look at that and say like, oh my gosh, like he didn't marry her, but it was a way to protect her from the politics and the drama and also to protect himself from control by the Bene Gesserit. So even though he was still there, it's a bunch of things. It's great. I like that stuff. But the book is more technical like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I could get into that. I am highlighting the occasional one, the occasional
I think if you just highlight the one that you're talking about, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Nothing important happens in Rings of Power, Dane Bornhold says. Joshua Templeton. Oh, no, he's talking to Cursed Kelpie. Wow, this is hard to keep up with.
I know, they go fast, huh?
Why are you guys chatting?
Sauron crying was so much worse than the kiss. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What are they doing with Sauron? Well, I do not understand where their direction is. If the audience can't figure it out, it doesn't mean like, oh, we've written him so clever. It means that the audience doesn't know if he's really a bad guy, which...
I hate that. I hate that new trope where bad guys aren't bad guys.
We know he's the bad guy already. The jig is up.
It's like what they did with the that Halloween movie with the three witches. Oh my gosh.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, where they made the sequel and they're like, they're not bad, they're just misunderstood and they eat children. Like not every bad guy needs a backstory where they're not that bad. Like, no, they're bad. It's okay.
What I'm trying to understand is, do they understand the nature of Sauron? Like, he's essentially...
Is he just a dude in this show?
No, but there was supposedly a time when Sauron was tempted to not be evil and not go the other way. But I feel like that would have been an event where the path he wanted to go was still selfish, but not necessarily aimed at the destruction of the world. And that's not what they're doing here. It seems like they're trying to say, like, maybe he wants to be good, and that's against his nature.
Yeah.
So Sauron is let me see if I got this right. So essentially, there's God, and then there's the 12 angels, like high angels. They're not called angels, but I'm just like, this is how I would relate this to like the religions I am more familiar with. And Sauron, or Melkor, it was one of those. Now, all of those, or he was the 13th. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there's a bunch of them. And they create the earth based off of a vision that God gave them, basically. Right?
Yeah.
And each of them ends up making different things, like making the stars, making the rivers, and then they're in control of them. But some of them make more angels. The bad angel, and like put him in prison or expelled him. I can't remember, something like that. It's so complicated. But either way, once he was out of the picture, Sauron like up and filled the vacuum. And but he's a creation of evil, like the desire to throw discord into the song, which is how they created the earth, by like getting a vision through a song. He's not good. There's no part of him that is like, I want to be good. He wants power. He's like the glorious, his God was like the glorious one. And now he's like, now I am going to be the glorious one. So this whole idea of him being tempted to be good, it's so weak because it doesn't work with what he is.
Yeah.
You can't, and now they did touch on something that I did like in Rings of Power, that you cannot be creative if you're not, if you are part of that destructive, whatever there has to be some goodness in you to be creative. There has to be a love and a desire to build in order to create. But he's the opposite of that. So he needs somebody else to make stuff. So that's why he hires that guy to like make the rings for him. Well, he doesn't really hire him, but you know what I mean? I'm just summing it up, essentially.
Contracted them out.
But he, so, okay, yeah, I don't think that they know what he's supposed to be. Like why is he crying? Is it part of his manipulation tactics? Because why did we have a moment earlier where he was chatting with this guy? It was either next to a fire or whatever. There's these humans that are migrating. They're like, you could just choose the good path. And, and he's like, it seems like he's like thinking I could, but then he kills that guy. And it's just, if that was meant to show us that he's not tempted, that's not what he's thinking, they didn't execute it in a very clear way. They didn't do it in such a way that illustrates to us he's pure evil. I think that they want us to not know if he's good or bad. Like,
that's stupid though. We know. We already know.
We
know he ends up as a big burning eyeball in a mountain. Yeah. Like, that just...
Why not look into some of the, okay, I only saw the title for it, but there's a YouTube video floating around out there about how to be a master manipulator. Like, how do you show the works of an evil master manipulator? And like, they didn't nail it. I didn't even have to watch the video to know. Yeah, they did not understand that he's not there to manipulate the audience into wondering if he's good or bad. He's there to manipulate the other people. We as the audience need to look at what he's doing and go, well, that was a very clever way of convincing this person to do something so that they think it was their idea, so that they don't really see how this is putting them on a dark path. They're not doing it in a way that seems impressive to the audience.
Yeah.
Dang, I have a good video that I recorded while I was in Alaska about this, but I had a broken hand, so I didn't have the camera on me. I had a GoPro on my chest, and I was hiking away from the glacier. And I was talking about how to get your audience, how to manipulate your audience or your readers into believing what you as the writer want them to believe, so that they're going like, yeah, that's what I would do. Like that's a great idea. And then when the truth comes out later, you go, oh, dang, there was another way. And I wasn't thinking correctly. Like Watson, we're always looking at the mystery through Watson's perspective, because he happens to know what the writer wants the audience to know as well. So we're solving a mystery through Watson's eyes. And then when Sherlock does the big reveal, we as the audience have been manipulated into believing the things and the conclusions that Watson came to. He has to be smart. We have to believe everything that he's thinking so that way we are also blown away by what Sherlock reveals. I think I'm getting way off track. This is weird doing this with another person.
Well, because you're able to keep up a little bit, so now you have to actually talk.
I do have to actually talk.
So Summit actually solved why why Sauron was crying. It says it's because they made him wear colored contact lenses that didn't fit right and kept doing close-ups on his face.
I could see that. Oh my gosh. Ugh. But okay, there's some stuff like, okay, here's what I would do. Are we going to just jump right into just talking about Rings of Power? Like,
yeah, was that not the plan?
No, that's fine. I didn't know. I think it was Rings of Power.
Let's jump in.
You, Alaska, and other stuff, right? That was it. Those were the 4 things. So still doing Rings of Power. Crying, whatever. Okay. Whenever I saw the stuff that when I was watching the scenes that they were doing with Anatar, which is what Sauron calls himself as the elf guy, like he's appearing as an elf. I really thought that they were going to go for a minute in that direction of like, I'm an angel of God and I'm here to guide you. There was like a good 10 seconds where I was like, this is cool. They've got the fireplace like billowing flames and you can hear this angelic voice like echoing throughout the whole chamber going like, I will, you will save all of humanity. Like I will make you famous, or that was when they blew it, when they started saying basically like everybody will, remember you, like you're going to be the good one. It would have been so much better if the voice was hyping up that the world needs to be saved, and you can save them. Like, and then you start thinking, okay, if I am Celebrimbor, he's the smith, and I'm hearing this angel saying that I could save humanity, like you could do it. You have this ability. Suddenly I start building confidence in myself. Like I could do it. Me, like I'm the special one. Instead, he's tempting him with power, saying like, you will be remembered as the greatest smith of all time. Like it's so freaking obvious that that's evil.
Yeah.
Why not start more subtle? And
was there like green smoke billowing in through?
No. It was golden and glorious.
Yeah,
like, I thought it was very cool. And then like, some of the dialogue was just like
too cheesy.
It was. And then, oh my gosh, I don't know. I was cracking up out loud, but I kid you not. MachineGun Bunny, I almost said your real name. He says, they will forever know you as the Lord of the Rings. He says that. And I just like fell out of my chair laughing. I was like, oh, it was almost a really cool moment. Like he looked like a Leonardo da Vinci painting, with these clouds and this light and this is like fabric from his cloth, like his robes, like floating in the wind and stuff. And it looked graceful and it looked magnificent and elegant. But the dialogue just got, well, this isn't the smartest line. That was a little bit corny. And then he said, the Lord of the Rings. And I was just like, no. You ruined something so good. And that happened a lot of times during this whole season where I was like, oh, you're doing something really neat here. And it would just slowly fall apart. It's almost like they had a bunch. Didn't we say this before where, what show was it that we were saying this about before? It was when I was on The Right Advice. It's another channel that I did with my friend Randy, where we thought that it seems like people just had these ideas like, ooh, what if we do this? Or what if we do this?
We have a scene where this happens.
And they just like spit it all out onto a table. And then from there, they're like, grabbing ideas like, oh, we'll do this. Okay, yes. And then somebody else grabs the other thing and like, oh, yes. And then we'll do this. But they're not thinking about how it all fits together. And it's not all woven together. It kind of has that same feel where there's a lot of individual, really good ideas, but the way that they're stitched together and just even in the dialogue, it falls apart so hard in the dialogue. It's so sad. I didn't pay attention to half of it, but every once in a while I would like just tune in and they'd be like, okay, let's just listen to this.
Yeah.
It's like the worst. It's truly horrendous. I don't know why they couldn't hire like a Shakespearean expert, like even just somebody who knows Shakespeare inside and out or Elizabethan playwriting could go in there and clean it up and make it feel real, make it feel like this is the way people really spoke, or this is the kind of dialogue you would hear in these stories.
Yeah. I mean, they've got enough writers, don't they? Or is the writer's strike still going on?
I don't think so. I think that's been over for a while.
Yeah,
But the thing is, though, that I have heard that writers are spread out kind of thin. But Amazon is paying so much money. What you're putting $1 billion into this. Shouldn't the writing be like spectacular? It should be as good as the early seasons of Game of Thrones, at least.
Yeah.
And it was just no, not even nowhere near. It's like Star Wars. I was getting Star Wars dialogue vibes from like Disney Star Wars dialogue vibes.
Not good Star Wars.
Not good even old Star Wars was a bit cheesy, but at least it felt natural.
Yeah, it felt like it fit with that. But
it felt like they weren't okay.
$1 billion production.
So Mom was listening in on some, because I made Mom watch some scenes. I was like, Mom, you gotta see this. I made her watch the last like 3 episodes with me. But I was like, just listen to this dialogue. She's like, what is going on? And I was trying to pinpoint what it sounds like. It sounds like these big businesses, like corporate Hollywood, went to Comic-Con and was like, man, everybody loves Lord of the Rings. We should make a Lord of the Rings movies. What would the geeky Lord of the Rings fans really love? What would they love to see? And like, they're making a movie that they think the geeks would love.
The nerds are gonna love this.
Yes, it's really sad because it's kind of condescending. Like,
it's super condescending.
I mean,
and then they always keep trying to fit their own agenda and their own message in there when it has no place in the story.
You can put like, first of all, I have to agree with Peter Jackson. No matter what, when you're going to adapt something, don't add something else in. Just do what the original writer did. If there's a particular part that they had in the story that this is something that they intended to do and it was in there and you feel like I could improve that a little bit, you better be good.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, nobody's work is perfect. You could take the most perfect story, most perfect film, most perfect anything, even Tolkien, and improve it. It could be fixed. It could be distilled a little bit more. It could be fine-tuned a little bit more. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, you could do a zillion drafts. It'll never be perfect. Perfection is unreachable. Okay, I just went on a tangent to perfection. But it's true.
You're coming from a perfectionist. That's saying a lot.
I know. But which is why I never finished anything.
Yeah. We'll get into that. I have something to say.
Okay. So what was I saying anyway? It was about
adding your own message.
Okay, you can take somebody else's story and say, okay, this is something that they could have done better, and you can make it better. If you really know what they want, it's not that hard. That's what editors do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a better writer than a lot of the people that I edit for, but because I'm an outside perspective, I can help isolate things that don't stand out, isolate things that need to be gotten rid of, or, like, oh, we can condense this or whatever. There's always room for improvement, but you don't even have to be an editor to do that. Like, you could do that. You could watch, how many times are we watching movies or shows and we go, I would have done this differently. Or wouldn't it have been better if they did this?
Yeah.
That's my favorite game to play. So you can have messages in there, but they should be in an adaptation, what the writer or the creator originally wanted. Unless it's something that's just horrendous and you're like, I'm going to do this better. I'm trying to think of something that did that. Shadow and Bone.
Yeah, Shadow and Bone.
Bone.
I think we both thought of that at the same time.
Shadow and Bone, season 1. Season 1 was better than book 1.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
I hated one of the main characters in book 1. So I did read these books. I hated one of the main characters. Hated him. And in the movie, they made him so much better. And even the main character, I think they made her better. They gave her a little more personality and she was less self-conscious in like a very, very, very young YA, like tropey YA. Yeah, like I'm a self-conscious preteen.
Well, it would have been weird if you have this gorgeous girl going like, I'm not pretty enough for him.
Yeah.
Girl. Yeah, like, I wish I was half as pretty as you are. Like, I hate that. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I never realized I was pretty. That's my least favorite trope. Suddenly I put on makeup and brushed my hair and I looked in the mirror and everyone was complimenting me and I had no idea.
Or like when they're all like shocked when they see the girl coming, coming to school and she like looks so hot and it's like,
She brushed her hair.
Oh my gosh.
Plucked her eyebrows.
Well, okay, but I saw what is his name? Graham Norton. You know, Graham Norton, the British, he has the pink studio and he's always on there kind of like having everybody have drinks. He had Henry Cavill or Cavill, whatever, on his show.
That person is not real.
Right after Superman. And he came in wearing glasses. And then he took them off and he was like, I actually do feel like I look different. He's like, I wear glasses around and people don't recognize me. So it does actually work. Because, you know, Superman and Clark Kent.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's lying.
Oh.
That guy, he looks like a bunch of hot dog buns wrapped up in ace bandages. Have you ever seen him, like, walking around? How is that comfortable, being that ripped?
Oh, I mean, I guess.
He's like an ox with no hair.
Well, he just wears really fitted clothes. I'd be wearing, like, pirate shirts.
You do that. I feel like you do that
I do that anyway. I do. I like pirate shirts. I mean, not pirate shirts, but
be a pirate.
I don't want to be a pirate. I'm not a pirate. It's what do you call it? Like urban
gypsy.
Something. It's not gypsy. Urban gypsy. Whatever. But what were we even talking about?
We got a little sidetracked. We talked about Shadow and Bone, adding your own message into the story.
Yeah. There's a really great YouTube video about messages. So I think it's called the feminism in Avatar, because there's Avatar, The Last Airbender has, because I get a lot of people getting annoyed with very liberal messaging being put in stories that, like, a lot of my audience feels this way, and they're annoyed that it's there, and I think that the feeling is I'm annoyed at the message. But Avatar, The Last Airbender has a lot of these same messages, but they're done so well and they fit the story so well and the world, like they're very appropriate to what the story is.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel out of place and it's not annoying and you're kind of going like, yeah, like I'm right there with, you know, Katara, you know, beat the Master Paku, you know. So if it's done well, you can get behind it. But if it doesn't fit the themes, it doesn't fit the story, and it's not done in a very good way, it's so annoying because it's obvious that it's put there clumsily.
Yeah.
We don't want a clumsy message.
It's like they go into this business with the idea of, I'm going to spread this message, or I have this story that I want to spread. And instead, they're given Lord of the Rings, and they go, well, you know what? I'm still going to spread my message and my story. That's what it feels like.
It must be frustrating because I'm trying to figure, why does this happen so much? I'm one of those people who likes to give people the benefit of the doubt a lot. But what I'm guessing is that you have people like what you're saying, like they have a very personal story and they want to tell a story similar to that one.
Yeah.
And what you've got is this big corporate studio saying, you are going to make this movie or this show. And they're being handed that and going like, okay, this is not what I want to do. I want to do this different thing. And so they're trying to twist it so that it works for them. Like, this is since I'm not allowed to do what I want to do and I have to do this, I'm going to
make it work.
Yeah.
Make
like
it fit.
Make it work this way. I think it's not, I've heard that the other way where it's like the writers, because I know that happens, that the writers sometimes want to do it, you know, more faithfully, but then somebody from up top comes in and says, no, you're going to do it this way. You're going to change this thing. And then they feel like, well, I have to do that because that's my boss. But I'll bet it happens the other way around too. It can't be the same story everywhere, where you've got people who, I would much rather do my own thing. But big corporations are too reluctant to take a risk on a new story.
Yeah.
Like maybe these people actually can.
Because it takes $1 billion to make a production. I feel like they need to reevaluate where their money is going.
It does not take $1 billion.
But that's the point. Yeah. It's like, why is so much money being poured into these?
I'll bet you it's money laundering.
Our channel's going to get shut down. Police are going to start knocking on the door.
I've always thought it's nepotism, money laundering. Somebody's getting like a sweet paycheck.
Yeah.
And
so Kaba42 says, about time you got through the Wheel of Time books. It will be a perfect showcase of different writing styles between Jordan and Sanderson. Brando Sando, I love him.
you've read more of Brandon Sanderson than I have.
I'm going to mention him every time I come on here.
Okay.
So that he'll see me and he'll help my sister publish her books. Did you guys know my sister has written multiple books?
No, I don't talk about those.
Yeah, well, I'm going to.
No.
My sister has written multiple books.
I have.
And they just sit there. They just sit there.
I'm a perfectionist.
That's the problem, though.
I can't live up to my own standards.
Yes.
That I know that I'm not as good a writer as I would want to be.
But you're such a good writer. The stories are so good, you guys. And she, in classic like Amber form, every time she looks at them, she's like, "This is crap," and it's not. They're so good.
I don't tell people that their stories are crap.
I can see it in your eyes whenever.
Yeah.
No, not me. Not other people's stories. Your stories, your own stories that you write.
Right, but if it's classic Amber, then wouldn't it be like that's what I do to everybody?
No, because you do it worse to yourself.
That's true. I do it worse to myself. Because if I don't do a good job, people are like, she must be a crappy editor, and then I'm out of the job. I'm out of work. So,
but it's a good job. I think you have to. I think your fans would love to see some of your work.
What were we talking about before?
Look at how did you guys see how
the message
changed the topic? No, we were talking about the message of the stories, and then I'm just replying to chats. So
okay, go ahead.
Did you know Sauron was originally called Mayron and was a servant of Aule? Aule?
Aule? Aule?
Maybe. Aule? That sounds right.
I did not know. I'm not familiar with the name. There's so many names in the Silmarillion, I cannot keep up with them. I just like, oh, that's that's the one that likes to hunt. That's the one that is in charge of wind and the stars. Like I'm not paying attention to the names. And I'm like that in real life too. I don't remember names in one ear out the other.
Same.
I don't know why that is.
Here's a good one, Amber. Wheel of Time Season 1, mad at men in power, but shows no men in power.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Bo Hort.
That is the best summary. Wheel of Time.
I hate all these men in power.
And there's no it's definitely more okay. It's more balanced in the subtext in the books, but you do hear the women often complaining about like I just got to a part where Nynaeve was complaining about like, gosh, seems like men were just put on this earth to make things hard for women. They make things get hard. Anyway, just let's go to the next one.
What book are you on in the Wheel of Time from Joshua Templeton?
I'm in book 5. I've got right now Elaine and Nynaeve. They are okay. They were in disguise as a lord and lady, but now they've joined like a traveling circus group. Essentially, they're on this mission to find the Black Aja. They're like the what are they called? Aes Sedais, who are secretly bad guys. They're like hunting them down and trying to find them. So they're trying to get out of this town without being noticed, and so they're dressing up. And, Elaine is like, I can walk a tightrope, and then she gets up and does it, but she's using the one power to like help herself walk a tightrope.
Cheater.
And then she's like, oh, and he can do it too. The guy's like, okay. But what did Nynaeve say that she could do? It was something funny. It cracked me up. Okay, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but that's where I'm at. I'm at that part. I loved book 4. The book 4, like second half, starting with Perrin. He's the one who's the wolf guy. You've seen some of the Wheel of Time. Yeah, he's the wolf guy. And he finally did some really cool stuff in book 4. I mean, he was doing cool stuff all along, but nothing that felt like he started it, or like he's like, you know what? I'm doing this thing, and it's a big thing. It's like not, I'm letting this guy out of his cage. This was like a big deal. He saves his town, and like the entire countryside where he comes from. And they start calling him like Lord Perrin Golden Eyes. Like he he basically rallies all of the different towns to form like a militia, and they expel the White Cloaks who were sort of, well, we're protecting you, but they're also kind of suppressing them and controlling them. And then they're also protecting themselves from the Trollocs, the beast creatures that are coming after them. And I was so into his whole story. I was like, he's doing something really awesome. And then Nynaeve takes out one of the Forsaken. They are called the Forsaken, right? I'm sorry.
They're like locked in those big stone things. Yeah.
Yes, but they're out now, or a lot of them are. Most of them are. Half of them. A few of them are. She takes out one of them, but not like dead. She beats him, and she's like, "That was like I did it. Like how did that even happen?" And I liked the way she reacted. I don't usually like it when somebody has power and there was no reason for me to think that, oh wow, they really built up to that. But because she was so shocked about it, I'm like, there's something special about Nynaeve. I'm convinced there's something, like, she's not just one of the powerful Ta'Veren. She's like maybe a new one, or she's somebody. So I liked that. Then what else did we have? We had, I liked Rand in book 4. Rand had a plan from the very beginning. So at the beginning of book 4, he's like, I've got a plan and I'm going to go and do this. And then he does not tell the reader, which usually annoys the hell out of me.
It can be good sometimes.
It can be good. And I think I've realized it. Your stream is stuttering heavily. Oh no.
It says there's some lagging is what we're getting.
Oh crap. I hope they can hear. Maybe I should record this on my end and I can upload it later. I'm not going to. What does the stream speed say on your end?
Where would it say that?
Pull up the blue swirly. Do you see the blue swirly thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see where it says, like, if it's fast or slow? Is there like a orange banner across the top?
Condition, it says, or connection.
Maybe it's excellent now and it was just bad for a minute.
Stream is healthy.
Stream is healthy? Okay. How's it going? Okay. Well, I guess there's not really much that we can do. Is it still stuttering? If it keeps stuttering, please let us keep knowing. Like, let us know. I mean,
yeah.
If it's really a severe problem, then that'd be annoying. People probably just be like, I don't want to listen to this. I wouldn't want to listen to it.
I wouldn't.
So
we can always try again.
Mine started stuttering as well. Just stutters and hiccups. Oh, so it's like every once in a while. It's not consistently the whole time. Mine usually works.
Shai says it's gotten less stuttery now.
Okay. All right. Then maybe it was
just trying to jump in every 30 seconds. On mine, I have YouTube up on my
every 30 seconds? Or is it 30 minutes?
I have been getting pretty frequent ads on mine.
How long have we been doing this? We've only been doing this for an hour?
Yeah.
It should only be one, like, okay. Pull up the blue swirly. Mm-hmm. And somewhere in the top area, it should say something like, ads, do you want them monetization? Something like that?
Delay ads? Insert ad?
Yeah, you want to... No, you don't want to insert an ad, but you want to turn it off. This is why I should have been in charge of the cockpit.
I didn't ask for this.
Yes, you did!
No, I asked us to help with the chats.
Which you have to do from the cockpit.
Damn it. Okay. Do you want me to hit delay ads? That's the only thing I can see.
I don't know what that means, so no.
It's just a pause button.
I'm so sorry about the ads. I just don't do it.
Someone's saying it's a YouTube problem.
It's a YouTube problem? Okay. Yeah. It's not constant, but I think it's a YouTube. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm reading it too. I'm reading other people's things. Okay, let's just stay on focus.
Shai says, for Amber Sis, I have read all the Cosmere too. Have you read The Wind and the Truth early releases? I have not. And I have not read all the Cosmere. I'm still working my way through because right now I'm in school and it takes me some sweet time to get through some books.
She's a doctor.
I am not. But yeah, my husband's read like almost everything. So no, I have not read the early releases, but I'm excited too. Let's see. I think we were talking about Amber sharing some of her stories with us. I'm going to see if I can convince her to do like a little preview video separately, like a pre-recorded one or something.
Maybe.
Yeah. Sarah Fernley, we need good writers. I'm not sure where they've all gone.
It's not that we've lost good writers. There's a couple things going on. So, number one, the big publishers are experiencing very similar issues that we're seeing in filmmaking, and shows and movies and stuff. It's happening in publishing too. It's just a lot quieter. It doesn't get as much attention. But all the problems that we've been seeing in Hollywood, it's happening. Has been quietly happening, and I don't mean quietly like it's just as rampant. It's just that we're bookworms. We don't come out of the corner and say, "Hey, this book's crap." BookTube is not very big. There are a few, like Murphy Napier is like the queen of BookTube. She's awesome. She's like one of my favorite YouTubers. She's actually the first YouTuber I think that I watched like consistently, like, oh my gosh, I love everything that she's doing. Her and Hello Future Me, two of them. But Hello Future Me is WriterTube, but StoryTube. And
Murphy Napier is like
Murphy Napier is BookTube, but she's also MangaTube now. Yeah, she's doing like all the mangas,
all the tubes.
She discovered manga. I was there on the journey with her when she discovered manga. It was so fun.
For her. It was One Piece, wasn't it?
One Piece was the one that she really, really loved, but I don't think it was the first one that she read where she was like, "Oh, I like this." It was something else. I forget what it was. Doesn't really matter. Either way, she's in the boat with all the manga people. I don't think she's into anime, which is fine because the stories are where anime is good. I mean, I'm not saying that, anime is bad. I'm just saying that people love it because of the characters and the stories. There are very few anime where you come out of it going like, dang, that animation was amazing. It's usually like, tolerable, pleasant, or, there's a few good ones.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read the manga or watched the anime, but I've seen the Netflix adaptation for it.
For One Piece?
For One Piece.
It's good. I loved it.
I loved it. Like,
Mom loved it.
I can't believe Mom loved it.
Mom watched it like 3 times before any of us had seen it once.
She finished the whole thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was surprised by how much I liked it. Like I'm a comfort watcher, so like I'll watch The Office again and again and again because I like
Pride and Prejudice.
And Pride and Prejudice.
The BBC version.
The BBC one. Yes, and like Harry Potter, same thing. And like that became one of my comfort shows. Like I can watch that anytime. Cuz I'm like I want to go to these places. I want to go to this bar.
That boat is a real boat. So I can't get over it. The boat is an act, like they put it in Los Angeles harbor, whatever. There's some harbor there or pier there. It was a pier. That's where they did the premiere of the first episode. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had gone to that premiere. That would have been so freaking cool.
It was cool.
It looked so cool, but everybody's out on the pier and there's the boat with the bar. Oh my gosh. They could make $1 million in a month with just having that as a bar, like for real. Have like 5 of them. Just park them all over the country. Yeah. People would go to it. I would go to it.
It looked so fun.
I would go in costume. I'd dress as a pirate.
The whole thing looked fun. Even the bad guy, the bad fish guy, when he's having his little like evil party, I'm like, I want to party with these evil fishes.
There was so much done so well with that show. And I've watched the anime. I've watched the first maybe 20 or 30 episode. I'm not going to be able to watch the whole thing.
Zach is watching the whole thing.
He's watching the entire thing. It's crazy. But isn't he on like episode 1,000 and something at this point?
Like I don't know. I've lost track.
But from what I got of the show, and then of the anime, and then going to the live action, that was a chore and a half. Truncating and compressing and getting the key points, that was not an easy thing to do, and they nailed it. I know that Oda, who's the guy who wrote it, he was involved as a guide, like whenever they weren't quite doing it right, he would come in and like, oh, you need to do this, and they'd go like, okay, great. I think that there's a lot of I'm sure it's fine if I say this because this is from my insider knowledge. There was a lot of people, I think, who thought that Oda was like, no, you have to do it this way. You have to, like, I'm not going to let you do it any other way. It was a lot the other way around, where it was, we want to do it right. What do we need to do? And he was like, well, you need to do this. And then they would go and do it. And they'd be like, do you like this? Yeah, that's great. You got it. It was a collaboration. There was friction, but I'm not going to go into the details of that. But
I feel like there's always going
but in the end, it was mostly like collaboration, like from both sides. They wanted to do it. They wanted to do it right. Like the people who are involved, you can tell, just love what they're doing. And the same vibe with Avatar. I think that Avatar was in many ways more challenging. You can't be as loose with Avatar as you can with One Piece. One Piece has a lot of silliness and goofiness where people can be just really big.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to do that sometimes with Avatar because it came from this fun kids cartoon, but it's got some heavy themes in there. How do you do that with some of these heavier themes and not be too silly? And you've also got very young actors and you've got to kind of grow with them. What I saw was, this is a show that is going to be a lot like the Harry Potter movies. It was one of the first things I said to my friend. I was like, I came away from the first season going, this is a lot like the early Harry Potter movies.
Avatar?
Yeah, Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. Always keep making improvements.
I guess I see that now because I wasn't nuts about the first season, but I didn't hate it.
No,
if you look at it in the lens of, like Harry Potter, look at the first Harry Potters. They are cheesy as heck.
You know what's weird?
Awkward.
The earlier Harry Potter movies are more faithful to the books than the latter ones.
Really?
Yeah. So the earlier because this is a thing that I think is really difficult to balance in adaptation, is you have to change stuff for an adaptation. It's a new medium. Things are conveyed in entirely different ways in film than they are in books. I mean, you're even using you know what onomatopoeia is?
I have heard the word before.
It's when you use words that sound like what they are, like wicked.
Yeah.
Or like bulbous. they sound like what they are, right?
And not
but you use that in your language in a book to create a feeling. You don't do that in film. It'd be, unless you're doing like a Lemony Snicket.
Yeah.
But you have to use what you've got. And it's very, very difficult. And I feel like they tried so hard to be faithful, but then they had to make some change. If most people enjoyed the stuff that they changed, like the things that they changed with Zuko and Iroh. Now, these were their older actors. I believe the actor who plays Zuko and the actor who plays, what's his name? Come on. Who's the funny kid?
Sokka.
I think that the two of them were the oldest, but I think that the Zuko actor might have been the oldest. Like, I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. Either way, they did their roles the best. Like, you could see that they had some maturity behind their performances, but that's natural when you're older.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see that from the other two, as they grow into their roles. I think of how many shows that we've seen where they went on for years and years, and you're like, dang, those kid actors, they didn't start out so great, but man, they were freaking awesome by the end. It's the same thing with the Harry Potter kids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they were not good.
No, they were just cuties. They were just cuties in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think now that
the Avatar kids are better than the Harry Potter kids were.
That's a good point to bring up, though, is like we forget that like they're just starting out. Give it some time. So
as long as they didn't ruin anything. And I get a lot in my comments where people say, oh, you're just defending the show, because they were nice to you. I mean, it's hard to critique people when you really care about them and you know that they tried so hard.
Yeah.
But I'm not giving them any critique that's less harsh than I would to somebody else. I genuinely look at what Avatar did and I go, yeah, it was a bit sloppy, but I see why they did it the way that they did.
Yeah.
And it was a genuine effort to be faithful to the source material.
I saw a comment or a video somewhere where it was saying the costumes were way too clean. Like, they're supposed to look lived in, and they just look neat and tidy the whole time.
I think that's something that a lot of people complained about the Shyamalan movie, is that the costumes weren't vibrant and colorful enough.
Yeah. Yeah. But I could see that they needed a little more wear and tear, but they were beautifully done costumes. But yeah, I could see that they need a little more wear and tear.
So
but they didn't have that in One Piece. All the costumes looked great, and it didn't bother me then.
So I think that there might have been a lighting issue in Avatar or The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Because I made friends with the costume department while I was at the premiere. They are awesome. The costume guys are so fun. But I got a lot of behind the scenes pictures and things of the costumes up close, and like they're very detailed. They are worn, they are stained. But like it's probably hard to tell, but I made up like a freaking drag queen because stuff appears differently in front of the lighting that I have here. Like if I turned on my lights in the bathroom, I'd never go out like this in public. It would be embarrassing. People would look at me like, is she a he? Is this a drag queen? Like, they wouldn't know. But so I think that the lighting might not have been serving the costumes very well. Like even the wig, because my friend even said it to me. Sorry, my brace is not tight and it's hurting. My friend told me that the wig did not look that bad in the lighting that they had when they made it. Like the lighting was essentially lighting up Yue's wig. Do you remember Yue in the end? Yeah. Like making it glow.
Oh, the wig.
So there were some lighting issues there. And that's just a lack of communication, I think, between the lighting department and the costume department. But I think that they also did a lot of stuff with the what do you call it? It's the big stage where it's a bunch of LED screens in all directions. I forget what the hell it's called, but they filmed The Mandalorian on it. They did a lot of Avatar in that. And I know that would have been a huge difference. Like if you've done costumes for natural lighting or on location lighting before, and then suddenly you're surrounded by LED screens, it looks totally different from what you've done. Like I said, I look like a drag queen, but I think I look pretty natural in front of my studio LED lights because they do that. They make it look cleaner. That was the best example I could come up with. And I know I'm going off on this, but I like talking about the costume people. They are so fun. Yeah. So the whole why are we talking about costumes anyway?
We just got off track. But someone's asking if we're done. Are we done talking about Wheel of Time?
No, we don't have to be done.
I mean, not Wheel of Time.
Rings of Power?
Rings of Power.
We don't have to be done. Like this is like, it's very laid back and casual. What time is it? It's 12:22. So we've been going for a little over an hour.
Yeah.
So we've got an hour and a half left to go.
Yeah. Oh, Laughing Wolf. The Laughing Wolf says, I'm at military school right now, so I can't stay to chat, but I had to stop in and say hello when I saw the title of the stream. Pure gold. Be well. Aw, thank you.
Oh, thank you for your service.
That's awesome.
At military school?
Military school?
Oh, so is that what it said? I mean,
yeah. I'm in military
or the service
school.
You're going to do possibly
So is that like
someday.
Malcolm in the Middle military school, or either way it sounds cool.
That is the extent of my knowledge of military schools. Malcolm in the Middle.
Way.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. Malcolm in the Middle is fantastic satire, and I'm guessing there's a lot of humor in there for folks who've gone to military school.
Shy says, I haven't read the Lord of the Rings book yet, started the Fellowship, but I've watched videos and I have seen direct quotes, and I have to say, I sometimes think the movies did. I think maybe he didn't finish his chat. All right.
Did better? Scroll down, see if he said
did something. I don't know. We'll find it. I'll find it. I'll find it. But yeah, someone Lois X Sparrow says the problem I had with Netflix Airbender wasn't anything to do with the actors. That's fair.
What did it say?
The problem I had with Netflix Airbender wasn't anything to do with the actors.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's no, fair. And I think we got stuck on the actors a bit. I like to defend the kids because I heard so many complaints about them. And I was like, that's like that's the least offensive thing that happened. They put too much in. They tried to cram way too much into each episode. They were afraid to cut things because they knew people wanted to see so much that they loved. I managed to put in the Sokka and Katara having a fight. Like, remember in The Great Divide? when they go across the Grand Canyon episode, basically, the two of them are fighting, essentially. You know, like she wants to, oh my gosh, I know that show too well. She's upset that he doesn't want to put a tarp over the tent.
Yeah.
In case it rains. And he's like, what the hell? Like, it makes a great, you know, blanket. Like, it's not going to rain. Yeah. Desert. And then they get separated. Well, they're having an argument, and then they come together. You know, he's like, she's like, I'm sorry that I fought, you know. And then he's like, I only took their side because they fed me. But they turned it into, you know, like, okay, we need to have a moment where the siblings are fighting with each other.
Yeah.
In not the way that they are in the very beginning of the whole story. And so they did that. They did it when they were in the cave, you know, the Cave of Two Lovers. And like, they didn't cut out the Cave of Two Lovers. The one episode that they, like, other than the Great Divide, that they probably could have cut. And
yeah.
They didn't. They just tried to put so much in there for everybody. And I think it was a fear of, we don't want to leave anything out. And it's also a love. Like, you can tell everybody in that production loves the show. Like, everybody there has seen the show. They love it. They've done it. Like, they love it. So
that's half the battle, I think.
I think it is half.
Otherwise, you get The Witcher.
Yeah, and I know that there's a constant pressure from higher ups to make changes, but the folks who are really on boots on the ground making this show, they want to do it right. They want to do it justice. So,
all right. So Shy finished. Shy continued.
Yes.
Better in some ways. Yeah, they did better in some ways. Like the March of the Ents, ENTS. I think Treebeard in the movie hits harder than in the books.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Well, it's because there's so much songs. There's so many, and everybody complains about all the poetry. It's written like poetry, but it's songs. They have songs that they sing. That is draggy, and that's one of those things that are, you know, a lot of the fluff was cut out of the books. And you have to do that. Yeah. Tom Bombadil and I forget the name of the gal that, like, everybody just remembers Tom Bombadil's name. They were cut out because it was kind of like it was a pause between points in the journey that they were taking. You didn't need to have that pause. So they just took him out, and that was fine. The story was about Frodo, and it's mainly about Frodo and Aragorn. Like, they're your two main protagonists, and then you get some Gandalf stuff in there too. But they're the main ones, and then everybody gets their own little bits here and there. But like, you could probably cut out everybody except Frodo and Aragorn, and it would still be a complete story. Yeah, not that you cut the characters. I mean that you cut the focus on them. So you could have had shorter movies. I don't watch shorter movies.
Taters is here.
Taters, hey Taters.
Says, I know your bad wit names.
I am
Sokka.
Sokka? What about Sokka? Oh, I couldn't remember his name. The kid, the other kid.
I love Taters. They don't know me, but I watch them. Their accents are top notch. You can tell they put a lot of work into them.
MachineGun Bunny is very accents. She almost came on here doing, what was it, a South African accent?
My South African accent. But you made me self-conscious of it now.
I did?
Well, no, you're like, it's the same as your New Zealand accent.
No, I said it was the same as your Australian accent. New Zealand is very particular. You're South African and you're Australian.
They are pretty similar.
They're very different accents, but yours sound very similar.
Yeah, I need to work on those. All right, Joshua Templeton says, the lighting couldn't be worse than that of Wheel of Time. At least you could see the actors in Avatar.
That's true. Yeah. So what were we talking about? Okay, no, I have been trying to pull up footage from Game of Thrones for my Greyjoy treatment video.
Yeah.
That has the worst lighting of all time.
Especially the long night.
Wheel of Time. Well, also the stuff with what's his face? Theon Greyjoy. Like, because I'm pulling up a bunch of footage of him getting tortured. I'm not showing it.
I know.
I'm trying to capture some of the dialogue, but it's hard when he's like screaming the dialogue and like shaking. I'm like, so it's super dark there. But yeah, Rings of Power, Wheel of Time, and Game of Thrones. You don't need to, like, remember in the old days, Hollywood would just put a filter on the lens that would make daylight like, oh, now it's moonlight. You don't have to do it like that.
Yeah.
But at least we want to see what's going on. I mean, can you imagine how much work people put into these sets and costumes and the makeup and everything? And like, you can't see a damn thing. Like, what's the point?
Yeah. It's, ugh. All right.
You know what's making me think of? I don't know why. I showed my nephew Pee Wee Herman a couple days ago because you and your husband were out for your anniversary.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I know what I'm going to make you watch. We're going to watch Pee Wee Herman. And we watched Pee Wee Herman. And
he was talking about it.
He was?
Yeah.
He loved it. Oh. I know he would. I'm sorry.
I hate that movie.
But it was the scene where he gets dumped on the side of the road, basically, and it just turns to cartoon eyeballs for some reason. It's just, he's got his eyes open, and he's like, it's so dark, and then you see all these other animal eyes, like, lighting up all around him, and then he puts on his, like, headlight glasses or something, like, he puts these glasses on, and they're like, high beam glasses, and he lights up everything, and you just see all these weird creatures all around him, and he's like... I don't know why I thought of that.
That's a good one.
But they could do that. They just have the eyeballs.
Project CNGG did a super chat. Holy cow, $50. Thank you.
Holy moly. Thank you so much. What'd I do for $50?
Just your charming personality.
Does it say anything? Does the chat say anything?
Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I didn't read it. It's
like the last one say anything?
It's like when you open a card. No, the last one didn't say anything. Okay. But you know when you like open a card from grandma and like all the money falls out and you like, have to pretend like it's not there.
Yes. You're like
love the duo. Here he says, love the duo sister team. Wishing you a quick recovery.
Thank you.
She needs it.
It's coming along. It's like I've had now 2 days where it didn't hurt super bad, although earlier today I did take a painkiller and I was like, I hope this wears off before the live stream. It's going to be a silly live stream.
That would have been extra fun.
The
Sword and the Pen Reflections. It's Goldberry. This is from Sir Blaze.
Okay.
Goldberry. But my problem with Lord of the Rings is Tolkien waffles too much.
Oh, Goldberry is the name of the wife. I was like,
oh, okay.
I was like, is this a drink that
This sounds exciting. And glad to see the MachineGun Bunny. Thank you. Glad to be here. All right. Sword and Pen Reflections. How do you feel Rings of Power taking stuff from Fellowship like the Barrow Downs?
Oh my god.
Bombadil.
Fan service. That's all it is. This is again one of those reasons why I'm like, okay, this feels like corporate studios saying, what do the geeks want? And they're like, oh, they love that part when Aragorn summons the dead or, whatever. He doesn't summon the dead, but he goes into I forgot the name of the place, but you know what I'm talking about. It's in the third book where he goes and basically rouses the dead and says, you're going to come with me. Hello.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I'm trying to stay up to date on this. This is why you get lost in it so much. It's confusing.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am really tired of it because as somebody who loves the movies, because I love the books, but I love the movies too. And actually, I've kind of, I wouldn't say I've stopped reading it, but I definitely paused in my yearly to every other year reading of Lord of the Rings when the movies came out because I was so impressed with them. And so now I just watch the movies. But when you've seen them that many times and then you see things like carbon copied from the movies or things that are literally taken directly from the books and I'm like, this doesn't happen here. It feels like they've put it there for the book fans and for the movie fans, hoping that they're going to go, oh, this is just like that thing that we liked before. But it's so not. It just feels like fan service.
Yeah. Potato says thanks. I'm guessing for the shout out.
Oh, thank you for being here. I wonder what time it is over there. Oh, I guess it's not too bad. If it's 12:30 here, it must be like 8:30 there.
Fighting Fit PT PCG says the biggest problem with most Netflix shows / adaptations will always be episode count for me. 2 30-minute episodes can cover more ground and tell more story than a single 1-hour episode.
I think
it depends on the show.
Well, okay, this is something that everybody was saying. The live act. This goes to Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is the best example. Everybody was talking about how the new Avatar: The Last Airbender live action has either the same number of hours or very close number of hours as the animation did. Animation moves at a breakneck speed. If you were to do the story of The Last Airbender shot for shot the same as the cartoon, but in live action, it would feel 10 times more childish. It would feel like, what the heck is going on? You would literally have people learning, that there's a problem at the beginning. They get taught a lesson in the middle, and then at the end, they've learned their lesson and moved on. That's if in the 30 minutes in live action, it feels childish that way.
Yeah.
And there are so many mature themes in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and every season gets deeper and darker and better written and more intense as the seasons go on. I'm talking about the cartoon. I think that they needed to make a smoother transition from one season to the next, and it was a challenge. And I think that they focused so much on trying to do it the way that the cartoon did. That's why, like, everybody complained it felt too rushed.
Fighting Fit continues. He said, so combine a small episode count with a need to show cool stuff, and the connecting tissue of the show is lost.
Yeah, that's true.
I call it highlight reel storytelling.
That's a really good way of putting it. Highlight reel storytelling. Who said that?
Fighting Fit PT PCG.
Fighting Fit.
Fighting Fit.
Fighting Fit. That is what was it again? It was a highlight reel storytelling.
That's a good one.
That's a really good way of talking about it. Yeah, because it's like the snippets of, like, we got a little bit of this and a little bit of this one, and then what did they call it? Not mash cutting. It was something else. Mashups. When you're taking several different episodes and trying to see if you can smush them together in a way. They actually did a very impressive job with linking themes, like fitting stories together that have very similar themes. They did a very good job at that, but it was still too much. They did too many of them smushed together.
Yeah.
So it didn't breathe as much as it needed to.
Cursed Kelpie says, how do you feel about the evil Istari in Rings of Power?
Evil Istari?
Istari?
You remind me of who? Oh, that guy. I'm a little bit confused. Now, let me see if I remember all of them. Okay, you've got Gandalf, right? And then you've got, oh, come on, who's the brown one? I can't remember the name of the brown wizard. And then you've got Saruman and the two blue wizards. Who the hell is the evil? Is this really an Istari, or is this somebody who thinks that he's an Istari?
Radagast.
Radagast, yes, that was it. Thank you. Did you remember that, or did you Google it?
I Googled.
I was like, dang, how did you remember? And I didn't. I think that they're trying to say that this is Saruman. Like, oh, he had hints of that he's evil all along. Saruman.
Yeah.
He looks too dark to be Saruman, in my opinion, because it's Saruman the White, and I know that that's like a figurative. I'm not talking about skin color. You're trying to laugh at me like you're racist or something. But I don't think that they did a good job, I thought, with the guy who's playing Gandalf. Like, I can easily say, okay, yeah, this is Gandalf before. Not that he's younger, because he's not supposed to be younger. I don't think he ages. I think he's just the same age. Starts out old, ends old. But they did a good job fitting him aesthetically. So this does not seem like Saruman to me. There's something off about him. He's too blatantly evil. And I know that the character of Saruman, the hints are there, but it's kind of a surprise to Gandalf that he turns evil. And I don't think that Gandalf is somebody who would...
They were homies. Like, they...
Yeah, they were...
Like, he trusted him.
Well, I think he was in charge. Saruman was... he was the leader of some council, right?
The Wizard Council.
He was basically the leader of them.
Yeah.
And he was good, but it's kind of one of those things where, like, power corrupts. It's sort of a demonstration of that. He was in the position of the highest power, and that's why he ended up turning. But what they're doing in the show is going, okay, what if he is just doing things that seem bad, but it's for a good reason? Like, I'm going to show you how important it is that you leave your friends, the hobbits, and come with me and learn how to be a wizard. Like, you need to do that. So I'm going to kill your friends. That's like, again, too evil. The 5 Astari were sent essentially by God to like, whoa, okay, the bad guy's getting out of control down there, and his underling Sauron is out of control. I'm sending these guys down there to just kind of guide everybody and keep them on the straight and narrow and protect everybody. Like, that's what their job is. They're the same rank, by the way, I think, as the Balrogs. Balrogs are basically the bad version.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Sauron. Is Sauron one of them too? I think Sauron is also. They're not really. I don't know if it's exactly hierarchy, but it's like they came after. There's like God, and then there's the angels, and then there's the guys under the angels.
Getting into the nitty gritty again.
It is. I know. I'm sorry. I won't do that.
Sir Blaze 75. Sword in the Pen Reflections is going to become a cyborg with the way that arm cast looks. I know. You thought you were hiding it. We had a whole conversation before where she's like, I'm wearing black and it'll hide the cast.
It'll just make it more obvious.
Don't be shy.
I keep tightening it because it's when it's loose, it moves around more and it hurts more.
At Sword and Pen Reflections, is Bunny and Bullets going to be on every stream now? I didn't agree to that name. I don't hate it though.
Bunny and well, I think we're testing this out to see how it goes.
Yeah.
To keep me on track for things.
Yeah.
Also because I would get so worn out at the end of an hour and a half, 2 hours of talking
to yourself
and like trying to run these things. Like, I was literally like dead at the end of them.
Yeah.
And there's no way I could have done this by myself.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
If everybody hates it and her viewership tanks because of me, I'll bounce.
You're not going to be able to do it every time anyway.
Yeah. I'll bow out gracefully. Joshua Templeton says, bringing in Grandelf 1,000 years early.
Oh, yeah, that also.
Yep.
So Sauron is supposed to kind of already be like a coming into power. Like, he's already there. And then the Astari, it's like, okay, things are getting out of control. Then the Astari are sent. So they're sent like at the same time and they're not doing anything. And it's kind of like, but they're supposed to know what they're supposed to do from the beginning. Like, not exactly what they're supposed to do, but they have, it's almost like they instinctually have knowledge and wisdom in them, like an instinct.
Yeah. That's instinctually.
They don't know what's going to happen in the future, but they have like a drive, and that's kind of like it's programmed in them that this is your role, is to protect humanity, and you're going to do it in this particular way.
Yeah. All right, Bo Hort says, it's key jangling, not fan service. It serves no one.
Key jangling? That is kind of what it is. Oh gosh, it's so annoying.
Taters is back. He says, at the Sword and Pen Reflections, hey, Machine Gun Bunny. He says, and why I'm here. Hey, Wendy.
Nice.
Nobody loves taters and lizard and hog more than my mom.
She watches every single podcast. Why are we doing another one? Where the heck is Hog? He's just, I saw he did a Batman comic book today that was apparently rather what did he say?
You want
now
me to check?
The word
Do you
is,
want me to look that up?
No, not confrontational. The word is escaping me.
Wow, now I can't remember.
It's when there's a, oh my gosh, what is the freaking word?
Something that's like against society, or what is it?
What the hell is the word?
We'll just stick with that. Wrong. We're not a good combo.
No.
But yeah, where is he? He's being a hog.
He's being a grandpa hog.
A hog. Oh yeah, he has a little grandbaby.
He has a little grandkid.
Oh,
so
a baby hog. A piglet.
We get pictures every once in a while.
A piglet. A little hoglet.
It's not a pig.
He's a hog.
He's a hedgehog.
Yeah, but it's so much better the way I'm saying it. What are baby hedgehogs called then? What
baby hedgies?
Hedgehogs. Hoglet. That's even better.
That is hoglets for real. That is a cute name.
A hoglet, a pup, or a piglet. So I was right, sort of. Let's see. Sword and Pen Reflections, part of the problem with the fan service is that it's done out of context, or they scuff it up somehow so it comes across evil or bad.
Or cheesy.
Or cheesy.
Like, they will remember you forever as, and then far too long of a pause, the Lord of the Rings.
That's so awkward.
I can't wait to show you that scene.
That's why I hate it. You know, that's why, like, my husband loves all the Marvel films, and I can't stand them because every line is that. Like,
it's a totally different kind of line, but yeah.
Like there was a scene.
Quippy.
Yes, yeah. There was a scene in one of the Marvel movies where Captain America, like, I don't know, like throws an alien into like a baseball field or something, and he's like, looks like this is a home run or something. Are you real? Like, that's really, like, that's the level of crap. And I was like, I can't do it. He asked me to go see some of the most recent ones with him, and I'm like, ask Amber.
Well, we were going to go see Deadpool, but people liked Deadpool because I think it makes fun of all of that.
Yeah.
Which I'm down for that, for sure. And I don't think it's bad humor. I think it's just tired. We're done with it. We've seen it so many times. The joke, it's like when somebody keeps telling knock-knock jokes. You can have one clever one, and then after that, we don't want to hear anymore.
Like 15 people wrote Radagast.
Yes, thank you.
Chris Kelpie.
Controversial. That was the word.
Oh, man, that's embarrassing.
Oh, I shouted that.
How do you feel about Pharazôn going full evil the moment he gained the throne? I blame timeline compression, but still got whiplash either way. That's like a Daenerys Targaryen thing.
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure what they're trying to insinuate. Is he like becoming full evil because he's using the Palantir now? That's the seeing stone, in the Lord of the Rings when Pippin has
he has the little stone.
Yeah, so basically, the Queen of Numenor, the island, she has like the flames coming out crown.
Yeah.
So she kind of gets voted out, and it's kind of like Jafar steps in, and like he's like, we got to save Numenor. We've got to save Numenor because he was worried that they're like losing their values and they're losing their sovereignty. They're supposed to be jealous of the elves having immortality. Like, they've been blessed with long life, but not immortality. They're not allowed to go to Valinor, like paradise, basically, because they are not undying and they're human, so they're more flawed.
Sad.
It is kind of sad. It's more understandable, but he's becoming sort of like Hitler. So it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird because, Lord of the Rings is often described as like, it's just a very black and white, good versus evil. It explores the difficulty of doing what is right when you know that doing what's right might end up being you die, right?
Yeah.
That is what's interesting about the story. It's about
like
perseverance.
Harry Potter.
But you have a bad guy he's evil. He's, Sauron is a big flaming eyeball.
Flaming evil tower.
Right. But
I'd be evil too.
The way that he affects people is by, Boromir is a great example. Boromir wanted the ring because he wanted to save Gondor. And he's like, if you could just lend me the ring, like, I could save humanity. Like, why should we destroy it? It's a thing that we could actually help ourselves with. Like, his people have been suffering. And there's definitely a tinge of wanting it for himself. Like, but it's because he's been fighting to save his people for so long. So that's one of the ways that Sauron influences in that way. That's what the temptation of the ring is. It's very personal to him in particular. It's an interesting bad guy because it's drawing the potential for evil out of people.
You can make bad guys interesting, but you don't have to make them good guys to make them interesting.
No, you don't have to make them good guys.
All right, we're going to fly through.
Oh, sorry. I don't know how we got sidetracked on that.
We're going to fly through some of these comments.
So,
fighting fit, again, he says they're all Mayar, yeah. Mayar. My God. Mayar. So basically angels, though. Sauron's an oddly strong one.
Yes.
Bohort.
I think it's because he's like Mount. What's the name of the one who made him? Oh, I'm so bad with names.
People will post it. We'll see
the bad guy, Morgoth, that guy. he's basically like the Lucifer of that. That's Lucifer's Lucifer. He's the Antichrist. There you go. That's if you're gonna try and like, I'm trying to figure like, how do you do this? Like, okay, so there's the bad angel Morgoth, and then there's his creation, which is Sauron. Or not Sauron, Sauron. There you go. The end. Go ahead. Keep going. Sorry, I'm trying to...
Bohort. Also, Balrogs were good. They were used to build the earth before they were corrupted. Kind of sad. Sad little hogs.
Wait, did they belong to the Smith god? Or the Smith angel? There was one that was like a Smith. I'm trying to remember. So much happens in the Silmarillion. Like, they could... It's such a shame that they didn't get the rights to just some parts of the Silmarillion and just like, you know what? We know this small little thing that happens here. Let's just build a story around the events that happen around there. You know, like what happened to this one clan of elves during this time? They were affected by this. They could have done so many interesting things, but they're trying to tell too much of the Silmarillion in the Rings of Power. And it's not fitting together very well. And
I have to watch it now because so much of it sounds interesting. Just
I know, but this is it. It's like conceptually, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Execution is not there.
Bummer.
It is a bummer.
Banter's Naven says they're called hedge pigs in Redwall. Hedge pigs.
Redwall. I'm surprised nobody has tried to make a movie out of Redwall. I don't think it is. Redwall is like... think of like it's basically medieval fantasy with mice, like Rats of Nim, except it's
mice.
Yes, which Nim is a fantasy. It's a sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah,
it's more fantasy than sci-fi, but it's got the feel of both.
Cursed Kelpie again. I think they put Pharazon's son in Middle Earth so he can become the Witch King. What would your opinion be if that happened?
I don't know. Do whatever you want at this point. The Rings of Power is just such a weird show at this point. My opinion is I wouldn't be surprised. Would I like it? Probably not, but I don't like most of what Rings of Power is doing. I mean, I like conceptually some of the things that they're doing. I do not like when such huge changes are made to source material. Because, okay, yes, because I am a writer, but also I see how much care goes into making these stories. You know how many drafts a lot of writers do? It's like 5 drafts. Imagine writing a book 5 times before you finally get it published. That's how many, like, that's kind of a minimum, like 5 edits.
Yeah.
They say 3, but no, it's more like 5, the higher levels. Most of the books you have read that were published by the Big 5 have been edited 5 times. And that means every sentence was considered and possibly changed, lots of scenes rewritten, lots of rearranging of chapters and whatnot. That's a lot of work. That means they put a lot of thought and heart and soul and sweat and blood and tears into writing that story and making it good. And now you're going to come along and in one fell swoop, I'm going to make this mine and do my own thing with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to change all this stuff. Or I'm going to, I don't like this. You better be just as thoughtful as I was, putting in as much work into your version of my story.
Yeah.
And doing something like this, I don't know a whole lot about I don't know the story of the Witch King, like what his past was. I know that he, like the other men, were corrupted, but I'm not so familiar with it that I could be like, oh, that's going to screw everything up. But I suspect it will, because everything else has been screwed up so much.
They've done it to everything else.
Yeah.
Potatoes. I wish I knew when they're doing the next one, the next Hogcast. That's what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Taters.
Yeah, me too. It's okay. So, you know what? He's been helping with Grandbaby, and that's a lot of work. We know.
Yeah.
I don't know if Grandbaby is having any like health issues, but my niece, your daughter, had some major health issues for a full year almost.
Yeah, it was a fun year.
It was, oh my gosh. We had 5 adults living in the same house, taking care of one infant, and we were all run ragged.
We all moved in together to that was a fun year.
That was a fun year.
All right, Sir Blaze.
She's such a happy baby now.
I know, she's so happy now. Like, so different. Ugh. All right, Sir Blaze. This is at me. If it's a Marvel movie, he wants to drag you to either Deadpool and Wolverine or Spider-Man No Way Home. None of the rest have been decent. I saw Spider-Man, I liked it, yeah, and I would see the other ones. Winter Rose at Sword and Pen Reflections. Those MCU victory jokes were overused in James Bond in the 60s or Arnie in the 80s. I agree.
Yeah, except that those were meant to be like, I'm such a big fan of Predator. Predator is like a comfort movie for me. You know, it's weird. It's so funny.
You son of a bitch.
It is so hilarious. And there's a lot of stuff in those movies that absolutely would not fly today with common audiences.
Oh my gosh.
But
we have to, Amber, we have to work
hilarious.
out our arms so that we can start every single
Did
live
you know,
stream with a...
what was her name? The gal who plays, come on, the Terminator. What's her name? Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
The gal who plays Sarah Connor, between the first movie and the second movie, because she was not super in shape in the first movie, but she was in the second movie.
When she does chin-ups.
Because I saw that Arnold Schwarzenegger, what do you call it? The Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary?
Yeah.
She was like so excited to see Arnold on the first day of shooting because she got ripped and she did bodybuilding. Like she basically went to go do bodybuilding so that she could have really well-defined muscles on screen. And she was like, I couldn't wait to show him how ripped I was. Like, you know, he inspired me and I was like, I'm going to do this. And, but yeah, I thought that was cool. She wasn't just like tone. She was freaking like in shape, man. She was not only strong.
There's Sarah Connor in the first movie and Sarah Connor in the second movie when she can do chin-ups.
She can do chin-ups. Our family loves, what is it?
Hunt for the Wilder People. Great movie.
It's a Taika Waititi's movie that I think put him on the map.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was so good.
All
Who
right,
else is in it? What's the name of the other guy in it?
The guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, what's his name?
And then Taika works with the main actress from it a lot too.
Yeah, she's funny.
She's
hilarious. A great actress.
All right, James Knighton. The funny thing about Rings of Power, they said you don't need to read the books of Tolkien. Lord knows they didn't. But the issue with the show, a lot of it requires to read them. Yeah.
That seems to be a thing. Like they did it with Wheel of Time also. Was there another epic fantasy other than Wheel of Time and Rings of Power that I'm thinking of? Game of Thrones. Okay, no, that doesn't count. But Wheel of Time and Rings of Power are doing the same thing, where in order for you to fully understand what's going on or appreciate what's going on, you have to have read the books. But then if you've read the books and loved them, you're kind of going like, why would they do this stupid thing? Like they're doing it, but they're doing it wrong. And it ruins what was so much better or more well thought out in the books. Yeah, it makes no sense. I don't understand that logic at all. And I don't want to sit here and just like, you know, like, I hate when they do that. I don't understand it. I want to understand what is the thought process behind let's do this. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
James Knighton also says, I hope you're also getting better.
Oh, thank you. I am. I'm getting so much better. Seriously, I feel like, even though I did not sleep last night, I feel so much better.
Amber has she has the worst luck. I feel like if there's a sickness going around, Amber's going to get it the worst out of anybody on the planet.
I will not get it the longest, but if I do get it,
you're going to get it
I'm
the
gonna
worst.
Get it
if you do, and when you do.
Yeah.
If Amber gets on a plane and there's a sick person that was on that plane 4 weeks ago, Amber's getting that sickness. Like
that was New Zealand. New Zealand. After my grandpa died, I was really close to my grandpa. And after he died, my family was so awesome. You guys sent me to New Zealand for 21 days.
Yeah, it was a long time.
And I was in the hospital or too sick to leave my bed for 15 of those 21 days.
But you made the most of it. She went and she saw the Hobbit village. So went to Hobbiton. You saw the glowworm caves.
And while I was still feverish, I went on this fantastic horseback riding trip in, what was it, Queenstown? Queensland? Something like that. I forget what it is. Queen something. I went to both islands. I zipped through the southern island and then I was hospitalized on the southern island and I was like, there's not much I can do here. There was like hiking and stuff like that. And so I was like, I think I'll just go to the northern island. Yeah. So I separated from the gals that I was with. I was with 2 other gals and they continued on the southern island. And I got on a plane, went to the northern island and rented a car. And I was like, I'm going to do sightseeing from the vehicle. And it ended up being really nice, actually.
You saw some cool stuff.
I did.
All
there was
right.
only one location I didn't get to that I wanted to go to.
Which one?
In I can't believe this is, but it was totally Narnia. In one of the Narnia movies, I think it's the second one, they come out of the cave on the beach, and it's this gorgeous church on this beautiful, pristine white beach.
And then they play that song. One breath.
Oh yeah, gosh, no. But I don't mind that song actually.
I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. No,
You don't like it?
mind it. I don't mind it because it fits for the movie.
It does. Speaking of which, have you guys listened to the music at the end of some of these Rings of Power episodes?
It's like with
No kidding. There is like a screaming heavy, not even heavy metal. What is that called when it's like
screamo?
It's like that at the end of one of the episodes, and I totally get it. They're like, this is like a song that the orcs would listen to, and I'm like,
is it though?
It was a very odd choice. There's been a couple of episodes like that where I'm like, what are they doing?
What is the show you did a review on, and they deleted the show like forever? Disney.
Willow.
It's like the end of Willow. All of a sudden, they'd be wearing like rock shirts and like.
That was so weird. What was that?
Why
Having
did
the brownies wearing a rock shirt?
If anybody has those shows like downloaded somewhere,
it's got to be worth something.
Yeah, because they were good just in how bad they were. So bad. It was,
and Willow is such a cool aesthetic for a fantasy. It's so unique. Because there was a time when fantasy in the 80s was being done, and it had this weird darkness to it. But there was two movies that stood out to me and didn't have the weirdness to the darkness. There was Legend, which was early 80s. I think that's 82.
That was super 80s.
But that one, it had a good contrast with the light, and it focused a lot on the light, and like that there's a big difference between the two. And even the dark stuff was kind of beautiful in a way. Like you go into the Devil's Palace and everything's got this like glitter.
Everything was sparkly.
Everything, yeah.
You could party there.
But it was like if the whole thing was like the Meg stuff, like, you know, the big like hunchback goblin lady at the entrance. If everything was weird like that, there's a lot of 80s movies that just had weird stuff like that. Like I don't enjoy Labyrinth because I don't enjoy the aesthetic. I mean, I enjoyed David Bowie, and that's about it.
Who doesn't enjoy David Bowie?
But they had the good combination of the beauty, putting the beauty in there, and that's Ridley Scott.
It was pretty.
But
somehow
Willow
we got more behind.
Sorry, go ahead.
Kaba42 says, I like the it's like the Alan Rickman quote, I don't play villains, I play interesting people.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mr. Bakaza. Death is supposed to be a gift, since only human souls that pass through the halls of Mandos and beyond the door to the beyond the void, where Eru supposedly is.
Okay, yeah. So basically the elves get reincarnated. So they keep coming back to Valinor. They keep getting reborn in the West. Sort of like the Wheel of Time. They get spit back out again.
Yeah.
The wheel turns them out again. They're living like that. But yeah, humans they're the second children of is it Iluvatar? Iluvatar, I think is the name. There's a lot of names. The god in the Lord of the Rings has, I think, 2 or 3 names, and I don't remember all of them, but it doesn't matter.
Know.
I categorize them in my head as like, okay, that's a god, that's like archangel, this is like a cherub. Yeah. they're ranked like that for me.
So Hawksmoor 42. There was a Redwall animated series back around 2000. That was not long ago.
That was not long ago.
We'll have to look at that.
How did I miss that?
Sir Blaze says, I tried writing a book once. I think I ended out rewriting the prologue about 20 times. It started off as a paragraph, and by the end, it was a 5-page chapter. And I don't consider myself an author. Aw, well, you are.
Wait, look, that's how it goes with a lot of writers, including myself. Because you start looking at what you've written and you recognize the flaws in it, and you're like, wait, I got to fix this. Or you start saying, that's not enough, I want to put in this thing. Or you get more ideas. That doesn't mean that you're not a writer. It just means that you're getting wrapped up in one part. Probably the best advice for writing that I've ever heard, and I cannot remember who I heard it from first, but I've heard it many times, is don't force yourself to write chapter by chapter. Write what you feel like writing. Like if you have it, especially if you're not, okay, they call it pantsing now, but I forget what the hell they used to call it. But basically when you just make it up as you're going, you kind of start out with an idea and then you do the next chapter and then the next chapter and the next chapter. If you're like that, whatever, discovery writer, just write. Don't stop and rewrite chapters. Just keep going on to the next one. Force yourself to do that. But if you are somebody who plots, if you plot everything out, you don't have to write it all in order. Go ahead and write the part you feel like writing.
Isn't that how Brandon Sanderson does it? He just writes?
I don't know. I can't remember. I've watched all of his lectures, but I don't recall if he revealed that. I'm sure he probably does.
Dude, I listen to his audiobooks like an addict. Like I'll sit in my car at the end of a book and just like
sit in the car.
Yeah, that's the only time I can listen is when I'm driving during my commute. So like, yeah.
You know what? It's hard to listen to audiobooks in a house full of people, and I don't like wearing earbuds.
Oh, I hate wearing earbuds.
So when I was in Alaska, I had a lot of alone time. I listened to so much, like I re-listened to a lot of Wheel of Time and was cruising through the second book. And then this happened. And that was no fun.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Tater says, if you have to watch a Marvel movie, Captain America, First Avenger, that's the only one you need. All right, let's see.
I saw the first Captain America.
Sword in the Pen Reflections from Hawksmoor. You don't need to read the books to enjoy the TV series, secretly meaning if you read the books, you won't enjoy the TV series.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, yeah. That's so sad. Why would you make a show that's an adaptation of something that has a huge fan base? This is like the mystery of the century to me. You've got tons of people out there who love the source material. They just want to see you adapt it. Sort of like, I want to see this theater company do this Shakespeare play that I've seen a million other times by other Shakespeare companies. I want to see them do it. I want to see the different costumes. I want to see the different performances, but it's the same story, same characters, same themes. Just some of the performances are a little bit different. That's what people want in an adaptation of a book that they love. Why would you do something that's going to we're going to do this story that you love, but we're going to do something you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Something totally different. That changes everything.
I was expecting what I was expecting.
I don't think they understand.
Trip says, did you watch his Dark Materials? I didn't. I don't even like the book series, but it's one of the more popular fantasies that has been adapted. What is his Dark Materials? Why does that?
So, okay, I haven't read it either. I mean, I started it a couple times and it's just not my vibe, but it's often revered as the antithesis to Narnia.
Oh, okay. I think we watched some of that. It was okay.
I saw The Golden Compass when it came out, and then I started watching the show because this was one of those situations where I always tell people, if you intend to read and watch the same story, it doesn't matter which one you do first. I tend to like doing the reading first because it makes it, you can get more immersed through reading because you are so engaged in it.
Then you can be in the book. That's what I do. In the book, they said this and this.
But I was watching his Dark Materials, the show. I went into it going, I'm going to watch this because I want to read the books, and I'm never able to get into it. I've started it again and again, and I just lose interest. And I lost interest in the show. So maybe it's just not my thing.
Might not be.
Yeah.
Sir Blaze says, Legend!
Legend is so good. You know what? I love the Tangerine Dream soundtrack. And I'm usually all over James Newton Howard and James Horner. And I'm thinking all these different, there's a lot of Jameses. It was Jerry Goldsmith who did Legend, the soundtrack for the British version. But I love Tangerine Dream. I think that they did something special because it's very 80s, it's all just synthesized.
I love the synth.
But it's legitimately good music. I almost want that again if they could just make it sound a little less 80s.
No, keep it. Keep the 80s. All right, Trip says, Willow, only the movie exists. Yeah. But
and that's a fantastic soundtrack. The soundtrack to Willow is one of the best epic adventure soundtracks I've ever heard.
I could watch that movie right now. I could watch it right now.
I could watch the movie. Yeah, I could watch the movie anytime. But I could also listen to the soundtrack anytime. It is so adventurous. It is such a great soundtrack.
Willow is still out there on less than legal sites. And and then that's from Elmberry. And Lewis XSX Sparrow says, "Oh, the Willow 60s cover rock songs were so bad."
Oh my gosh.
They were
weird.
You should do just a fun, like, low-key video where you hash out, because you've already done it, where you hash out Willow and compare it to the movie versus the new one.
They're incomparable.
But do it because it's fun.
They are less like each other than Wheel of Time Amazon is to Wheel of Time Robert Jordan. Like, they are less similar.
But that's what would be fun to compare. Like,
how weird is that?
Yeah, God,
Willow really was
that bad.
Like, it was so bad. It is like
which sucks because the guy who did Arrested Development, right? He was in charge of it.
Ron Howard, the show,
wasn't he?
No, absolutely not.
Hold on,
I doubt that. He was probably one of those, like, I'm written in as an executive producer, but he didn't see.
Yeah, he was not. He was involved, but he was not as a showrunner or director.
Yeah, see, he wasn't involved. It was basically his name.
They stuck his name on there.
That happened. He probably gave them some money, so that they could use his name.
Gotcha. All right. Sir Blaze says Princess Bride. The Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride.
You read the book, right? I bought you the book.
It's
for Christmas.
Oh. It's over there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's on my shelf somewhere. That did not feel very good, actually. I should not have done that.
Don't do that then. Stop doing it.
But, it's behind one of these. So these aren't really books.
Your fake books?
If people are wondering how I have such lovely covers, I have the actual books, but they're not big enough.
Yeah.
So I just, look, there it is. The Princess Bride. I knew it was behind one of these. But I wanted it to be people can see it. So I print up the covers and put them back there.
Prototype number 357 says, Labyrinth and Dark Crystal are my favorite 80s fantasies.
Dark Crystal is super unique, but it has that dark fantasy feel to it that's pervasive. Not pervasive. It permeates everything in the story, the themes. It's kind of like how I feel about, and they're both pig movies, Babe and Charlotte's Web. They're about death. They're about, like, accepting death.
Yes.
Like, the farm life is about just, like, everything dies. Everything gets slaughtered. Like,
and then we all end up on the boss's table.
Oh my God. Chicken Run. I don't enjoy that at all. That's a theme that I'm just like,
get behind it. I wasn't nuts about Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, but I watched them and I enjoyed them. I think it wasn't like my go-to though.
I didn't, as much as I like David Bowie, I was not into the music in Labyrinth.
Kind of magic. All right.
I still, you know what? I will watch it though because of David Bowie.
Yeah.
Because he's glorious and
that girl's sleeves, all her sleeves.
And he wears leggings in that.
Yeah, back when leggings weren't a thing. Trip says, Willow the series should not even be available when sailing the high seas. Talk about a whirlpool of destruction.
It's almost like they made it as a joke.
Yeah.
Like, that show seems like people like, let's make a show.
And you know what really
Willow.
sucks?
Like, what could we do? I don't know. Like, have there be this, like, golden milk that you have to drink. What was it?
It was like worm slime.
It was like excrement.
You know what sucks is they got Val Kilmer.
No, they got his
son to do the voice. But like what a waste.
How cool would that have been if we had Val Kilmer's son playing Mad-Mardigan?
Yeah, playing Mad-Mardigan and but holding true to the character. You don't have to take every beloved character and turn them into a piece of crap 30 years later.
I don't understand why they did it with Han Solo too.
Yeah.
So Mad-Mardigan and Han Solo are essentially the same character.
Yeah, they're Lone Star, but ends up taking care of some dumb kid and has a soft spot for them.
Yeah,
and, and they grow up
turned by their innocent loyal, patriotism or loyalty or whatever it is that they're doing. Because Luke was like, I'm gonna fight with the rebellion, and
Yeah, and then Mad-Mardigan had Willow was kind of his kid, but then the baby.
Yeah, the baby.
Elora Danan. And they're going to like try and say that, yeah, he was like a crappy dad to Elora Danan.
I don't understand why they thought that was a good idea.
I don't
know. You know who got it right, though? So they did it right in, I loved Top Gun, Maverick.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Maverick was great because he was the same guy. It was like they didn't have too much change happen between movie 1 and movie 2 as far as the character goes. He's like still the same.
He was just a little older.
Just a bit older.
A little creakier.
He was still a badass.
Yeah.
But he was...
And at no point did they have him like, we have to humble him to like show him that he's old.
Or like show that like living like that's, you're just going to end up a loser or like Han Solo.
Yeah. God.
That we didn't watch him because we thought that he was going to become a loser. We thought he was awesome. They honored his character and didn't have him develop off page too much or off screen too much. You don't... I get really annoyed between books and seasons and shows when there's too much development, or movies in a series of movies, when there's too much development off screen or off page.
Yeah.
If it's so much that I no longer recognize them, or I'm like, why didn't you show us this process? It feels like I might as well just not have gotten attached to that character at all. Are you cold? I'm cold.
I put a blanket on my legs because I'm cold.
I'm more of a wimp about the cold than you are.
Yeah. Winter Rose said, Ahsoka also said you didn't need to have seen Rebels, but as I understand that, you need to have seen it to understand it better. Yeah, that was another show that...
Makes no sense. Why?
And what a cool character. They took such a cool character and just...
See, I'd love to talk to Taters about it more, because he knows Star Wars inside and out. I should do a live stream with...
Instead of a Hogcast.
Yeah, with Taters and... your husband, and
you can call it mashed potatoes.
What the hell? But to talk about Ahsoka and
that'd be a great idea
because they know Star Wars.
He's all into that, yeah.
Because I don't know much about Ahsoka other than what I've read in the little blurbs I've seen or videos that I've watched. I know that she's a beloved character. Like people love her character like they love Darth Vader or like they loved, Luke Skywalker. Like she's awesome. I thought that they would have known you cannot screw this up. And I think that they probably stuck with her personality to some degree, but they didn't give her character enough time being the main character. It was mainly about her apprentice.
It's what they did the exact same thing with Mandalorian. All of a sudden it was like, well, we didn't say which Mandalorian was the main character. It's like, yes, you did in the whole first series.
Yeah, really.
The only one. And then all of a sudden he's not the main character. He goes from being a badass to being like a loser. He's getting his butt saved in every single scene. I don't think
I was so confused by the second season. Did I even finish it? Oh, yeah, I did. They had that weird battle, where the Baby Yoda was using the robot. It was so weird.
And I liked that actress that they brought in. She was in Battlestar Galactica. She played Starbuck. Love her. And I thought you could tell she loved the character. I just don't think they did the show any justice.
They could have done a show called The Mandalorian, and then season 1 was just about what's the name of the Mandalorian in season 1? What's the name of Mandalorian's name? I used to know his name, but the guy.
Yeah.
Where it's just him and his adventure delivering the baby. Din Djarin.
Yeah, Din Djarin.
Whatever, that guy. They could have had season 1, his story. Season 2, her story.
Yeah.
Do season 3, somebody else's story.
But you gotta let go of the characters. Stop trying to make it they kept bringing him and Baby Yoda into the story, and it's like, just let them stay where they were.
I heard Brandon Sanderson, because I know you were like, yeah,
we're gonna keep mentioning Brandon Sanderson.
He did an interview recently, and it was when they were talking about Wheel of Time, and he's so right about this. They're trying to write these epic fantasies as if they are TV shows that just go on and on and on forever. Like a sitcom where the episodes go on forever and it never ends. But that does not work thematically with a lot of fantasy. Now, it can work with something like if you were doing a Dungeons and Dragons type of story where it's basically Star Trek, but fantasy, where they go on different adventures. Every episode is a different adventure.
Yeah.
That can work.
Yeah.
But you don't do a big epic tale thinking you can just make it go on and on and on and on forever.
It has to have an ending. It has to have a story arc.
Everybody wanted in Game of Thrones that great ending.
And
we weren't in it because we were in it because we enjoyed the characters, but we all wanted to know who's going to win Game of Thrones, you know.
And the lamest character. And who has done less than Bran, the useless.
Did you hear that?
It was like an
Instagram thing?
Sometimes the strength of a king is shown not by what he does, but by what he doesn't do. And who has done less than Bran?
But we were watching because, well, first of all, we were invested in the characters, but they died when they became useless, or when their role was like, it was appropriate that it's time for them to end. Like Ned Stark, if he didn't die, we wouldn't have gotten all the amazing stories we got with Arya.
Yeah, that's why it hurt to have him die. Well, but it hurt because he was a good character, and then you're right, it started the growth of all the other characters.
And the unfortunate thing is that I don't think that people understand. We want to see the ends of these stories. When the White Walkers were taken care of, that's the end of the story. But if you're like, you know what, we're just gonna tie it off right here and let's just go. Like, we're gonna go make Star Wars and then get fired
Because they've messed up.
But you know what? Didn't they do Three Body Problem?
Did it?
I think so.
I didn't mind that.
I liked Three Body Problem, and I have not read the books. I want to. They're on my list, my never-ending list. Without knowing what the books were, I really enjoyed the show.
I liked it too. I was surprised that I was so sad when the guy's brain got shot into space. Like I was surprised that I was as invested in that as I was.
You spend like half of an episode in that hospital room just talking to him.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is so dark and so tragic.
And then she talks about like, well, he's going to be traveling like this way for however many thousands of years, and maybe he'll hit a star at some point, and like it's like, damn,
it'll finally be the end. It was, you know what what is it called? It's a cosmic horror, is what that is. I love that. I didn't realize I enjoyed that so much. I don't really enjoy it, but it's like a serial killer story. Like I really love Criminal Minds.
Loved it. I would watch that before I went to bed. That was like my night. You know, that theme song would come on.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. It's like snuggled up.
Yes. Serial killer, cycle, whatever. Anyway, I get into it like that. Like I'm fascinated by the darkness that the human mind is capable of.
Yeah.
This is a similar sort of fascination for me. I guess it's like roadkill, you know, like you drive by a train crash or a car crash, you know. I guess I'm not a rubbernecker or whatever. I don't even like that term. Like,
I don't think that's
I don't do that. I like try to not look. I'm like, these people are having the worst day of their life. I'm just not going to look.
Give them some privacy.
Yes, exactly.
So Lois X Sparrow says the best way to watch Willow TV series was on Disparu's reviews. I heard he did good reviews.
Yeah, no, he did great reviews. I think because that's when Disparu first started chatting with me and Randy in our comments, I think, there. Mm-hmm. But I would go and watch his reviews after every one of ours just for a laugh. He's so funny. They're hilarious. He's smart, but he's also super funny.
That's always a good combo.
It is a good
smart, funny. You can never keep up with them.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Sword Pen Reflections from Cursed Kelpie. The thing about Tolkien's stories is nearly all of his characters, yes, even hobbits, have at least one other name. Gandalf has like 20 names. It's almost funny.
Yes, it is almost funny. What is his other name? Does it start with an O?
They'll type it. I
think we'll get to it. O. It's something weird.
Sir Blaze says, "Oh, I had started at chapter 1 and then figured it needed a prologue, and then I went on to a chapter next. It was all over the place and about 30 pages done by the end." I think they're talking about writing.
Oh,
just like the mess that you get into when you start writing and
yeah. It's always, you know what? One thing that I do is I'll write a story and I'll be like halfway through the first half, so a quarter of the way through, and then suddenly I go, you know what? This story is going to be too epic. I have to start a shorter one. So I go start a shorter one, and then I get to the same point, and you know what? This story is becoming too big. It's whatever. If you enjoy the process of writing, just do that. I enjoy the process of writing.
Prototype number 357 says, Brandon would probably say that his writing process works for him, and we need to find one that works for us. If it happens to be the same as his, cool. But if it isn't, we need to do something else.
Experiment.
Brandon, is that you? My goal is to get in touch with Brandon Sanderson and Elon Musk. I was telling my sister, those two people.
I want a cyber truck. I know people don't like him and people make fun of him, but I want one just because it's so freaking weird.
Somebody compared them to a potato cut without a potato peeler.
Yes.
Cut with a knife instead.
With a paring knife.
I can't unsee it.
I can't unsee that either. Yeah. It's exactly what it is. Such an ugly car.
And you know, they're weird, but I mean, we always look at them every time.
Every time.
Cybertruck.
There was somebody in Alaska in the area I was staying at that had a Cybertruck.
Really?
Yeah, my sister was friends with him. It said something like cyber, like brr, cold. Get it?
Ah.
Yeah, that was the license plate. And while I was up there, it broke down and had to be towed, and it was all over Facebook and all over, like everybody was like,
when you got the one Cybertruck.
And the place where I was at, it's like, the towns have 100 people in them.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like 3 towns. One of them has 250, one of them has 100, and then the other one has like 400. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows who it was. Like, it's him. Like, it's Cybertruck. He's famous.
Trip says, Reacher turned out pretty well, though.
Yeah.
Although it's military fantasy.
It's definitely fantasy.
Is that the one where it's like the huge beefy guy who like rescues the lady who's being held hostage or something? Like,
I didn't watch enough of it to get that far into it, but I watched like one episode and I was just cracking up. I was like, oh my gosh, it's basically like the military version of James Bond. Like, James Bond is like very much a, guys, he's so suave,
James Bond.
And then you've got this guy.
Have you seen the guy who did Family Guy, where he makes fun of James Bond coming in and being like asking for the martini, like shaken, not stirred, and he's like, the guy who does Family Guy is like, that's how you're supposed to make it. Is this your first martini? James Knighton says, for the money. They don't care if it bombs or if it's told poorly. They make money at the end of it.
That's
true. Losing money, though? Aren't these people losing money, film industries?
Okay, you know the guy who does the pitch meeting videos?
Yeah.
I think it's him. I think he put out a video where he talks about why Netflix has to keep making movies, and I guess this is a pervasive problem with all these streaming services, is that they're in debt.
Oh,
and the only way to pay off their debt is to keep making movies and getting further and further into debt. They're like constantly playing catch up to their debt, except that it's like this. Here's their progress, and here's their debt's progress.
Oh, that's depressing.
Yeah, it's like always getting further and further. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's exactly true, but it really made sense to me, because I don't know how these can be this expensive. I mean, think about what Amazon has done.
Yeah.
How much was the second season? Did the second season cost $1 billion too? You would think that they save some money by like holding on to things. Like,
you think? Yeah. Hey, maybe we don't need to buy a whole new. Yeah, I don't know. Prototype 357. Adaptations have a problem that the studios want to adapt them their way. They don't want to do what the audience wants, and they think they can do better than the author.
They don't think. Well, I think some of them do think that. That's actually one of the conversations I was having with my friend at Netflix. This person was so telling me, I am always shocked when I come across people who think that they can do better than the writers of the source material. This is the person who was working on sorry, I got a text message popping up on my screen. I was like, get out of my way. I can't see. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
So there are people who are there. I think that they're rare, but they're shocked that that's happening too.
Yeah.
And it's a battle. Imagine being like, you know that this is how you're basically the geek who understands the other geeks, and you're stepping into a world of people who, you have football players and cheerleaders and trying to explain to them How to play Dungeons and Dragons. Like the IT crowd.
If you haven't seen the IT crowd, what's it on right now?
Is it Netflix? I think it might be Netflix.
It's on one of the major platforms, and it's so good.
It was on Amazon Prime.
It's so good.
And it's so funny. It's got to be one of the funniest BBC comedies, modern BBC comedies I've ever seen.
Lewis
Fawlty
Sparrow
Towers wins for...
I liked book 1 and 2 of HDM.
HDM. His Dark Materials.
And hated book 3, so I didn't bother with
Was there a season 2 of his Dark Materials? Did they say season?
I think it was just season 1.
Wait, what does it say? I did not...
I hated book 1 and 2 of HDM. Okay. And hated book 3.
But you
I liked book 1 and 2, hated book 3, so didn't bother with the show.
Oh, okay. It's always tough, if you know you don't like where it's going to go. But then again, maybe the studio's going to do their own thing.
Elmarby says, while Fallout writing was erratic, I credit it as one of only a few recent adaptations that seem to at least love the source material. Yeah.
I don't know anything about the source material, but on its own, Fallout was great.
Yeah, and I love the source material, and I was having a heyday watching the show. I was like, she better upgrade her weapon, and she did. I loved it. There's a rad roach, and I loved it.
See, they did something really good that One Piece did it too. They've realized that having enough and taking seriously enough the multiple genres and I mean entertainment genres, so comedy, romance, drama, satire. If you take that and you give enough of all of it, you get another Pirates of the Caribbean. Because Pirates of the Caribbean is fantasy, high seas adventure. It's a period drama. It's did I say fantasy already?
Yeah.
I think I already said fantasy. It's a comedy. It's adventure because the sword fights, and then you've got this romance, which is actually kind of nice. It's got beautiful sets.
Yeah.
It's a combination of a lot of different stuff. Willow was that too. And movie Willow, not the show.
Movie Willow. They did such a good job.
Whenever I say Willow, I'm never talking about the show unless I'm talking about how horrible it is.
I still think we should do a video on that because honestly, it was so bad. It was good.
Don't say honestly. There's a running joke on my live stream. So I say honestly so much.
Do you?
I do. I say it way too much.
Uh-oh.
I think I almost said it 20 times in the last live stream.
Well, I think I'm caught up, but I think the chat on the right is going a lot faster than the chat I'm seeing on the left side.
You can scroll.
I am scrolling.
I mean, on both of them, you're able to scroll both of them. Yeah. And the one on the left, that one takes a little bit longer to update.
Gotcha.
It's the same window, they're the same chats. You get that, right?
Yeah, but it seems like one of them's really backed up.
We're figuring out the technical stuff. It is technically 1:30, so we got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Did we not talk about anything?
We talked about
Rings of Power. You, medical school, baby.
That's it.
Your baby is the one. Her baby is the one that got me sick.
You sick.
It was 4 months. 4 months of sick nonstop.
Was it 4 months?
Yeah, it's February, March, April, May. Yeah. Because I was in the hospital, I think, was it in May or June?
June.
No, it was May because it was Mother's Day.
Oh.
I just remembered.
Okay. All right. Yeah, look, this is way behind. This chat is loading so slow. Ugh. Tater says he agrees with mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes is good. But now we have to come up with something for your husband that means mashed. Come up with a name for him.
I'll think of something.
Mortar and pestle.
Mortar and pestle.
Mortar and pestilence. That's what I always want to say.
Mortar and pestilence?
Whenever somebody says mortar and pestle, I always think mortar and pestilence. It just goes through my head silently.
Yeah, for some reason the featured chat's just not loading for me anymore. It just stopped.
Did I talk about the Star Wars scene in Rings of Power? Star Wars scene in Rings of Power? Is something evading my memory? What happened in Rings of Power that was Star Wars-y? I can't think of it.
Smash. Tapato.
One thing I can't understand with adaptations, follow-up series is they want the fans, but then they want to change everything about it. Yeah, that it really is. I don't understand how that makes sense to somebody who wants to make money, which is why I don't think that these shows are being made to make money. I think there's money laundering going on.
Yeah.
I don't know who's getting paid, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me, because it seems like it doesn't take a lot of thought to realize there's a ton of people who love this source material. What if we give them exactly what they want? They're going to be your biggest fans. They're going to go out and tell everybody, you need to go and see this adaptation. It's perfect. Think about how many people came to One Piece because the show was good and it was faithful. Like the original One Piece fans loved the live action and they told everybody.
Yeah. That's
I think there's very few people who are unhappy with it, and they're probably the kind of people who are never going to be happy with an adaptation anyway.
There's always going to be the people that you can never make happy.
Yeah.
That's just
if anybody wants to say like, oh, the movie is never as good as the book, yeah, most of the time. But a book is a completely different experience from a movie. You are so immersed in a book because it's taking work on your part to absorb the story, to process the story. There's no way to compare the two. Yeah.
Curse Kelpie is asking if we have faith in the new Peter Jackson animated film, or are we just ignoring that?
I did a video.
You did a video on it, yeah.
I wish I had seen the Japanese trailer at the same time that I saw the American trailer, because it's a totally different trailer. It feels like it's for a whole different show. I liked the trailer for the Japanese version even more than the trailer for the American version, the English version. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It does feel like a different show. Definitely feels more Tolkien-esque. But I'm hopeful about it. I'm not one of those people who will write it off. Like I looked at it and I saw some warning signs, but I also saw that it's doing some really potentially cool things. Like the story's interesting. And I know that everyone's like, oh, they should have done this other story. Well, look, okay, they're not doing the story that you wanted. They're doing this one. Now the question becomes, are they going to honor Tolkien as a storyteller? Are they going to stick to his kinds of themes? Are they going to not break the lore in any kind of way? Are they going to screw up some character? And I think that with animation, because it takes so much work to create an animation, like months can be spent on just a few seconds of footage. I think that there's a lot more work put into the script. Like they plan that script out and they tear it. Like look at how many versions of Pixar movie. Like go look at and watch the making of Pixar movies, what they start as and then what they become at the end. It goes through so many iterations of, nope, we got to distill it even more, distill this character, distill this theme. It goes through so many iterations of that until you get something that's completely different from how it started. So it's a lot of work and planning because they don't want to start their animators working on something that eventually is going to get cut. They're like, no, we're going to make sure we have a good story, good scenes, everything, every second is planned. Then we'll give it to the artists.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, your rants are fine. Let's see. Someone says, if you happen to start playing the Fallout series, don't start by Fallout New Vegas because it's going to ruin every other game in the series for you being the best of the series. It totally is. That's if you ever do play the games, you can't start with that one. It's the best.
Is it the best because of the world or because of the story? Because I know that it's like the world is stories. Like you're unfolding the story and how it came.
They just perfected the whole like. I mean, you don't really you're not a gamer though. Like
I never played video games.
I played like Elder Scrolls and all that, and so
we weren't allowed to have video games.
I know.
We didn't have a computer. We didn't have video games. Mom
and Dad eased up a little.
Well, we didn't. The technology wasn't there. It wasn't as accessible. I mean, my friends had Nintendo, and then Nintendo 64 came out, and I was like, please let us get a Nintendo 64. And no,
rot your brain. I mean, I try not to let my kids play video games.
What was the first console we ever had?
It was an Xbox.
It was an Xbox?
And the first game we ever got was Tak and the Power of Juju. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I remember you and Connor playing that.
Like, we fought over that game. And then we got Oblivion next. And it was just like, lights out. Sir Blaze said at MachineGun Bunny, they made the seasoned bounty hunter ghoul so friggin' stupid throughout Fallout. Like, I'm gonna use you as bait, ties her up, all ready for the Mirelurk, and then doesn't know what to do after. Like, I agree.
What is this?
You know the scene where the ghoul ties up the main character and uses her as bait to get that big pink, like, axolotl monster out of the lake?
Oh, that, yeah.
That everyone had a problem with that scene.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, it was poorly done.
But did I care when the rest of it was so good and entertaining? Yeah. No. That's an example of, I will find flaws in everything. A lot of people will find flaws in everything. If a flaw in a story is going to ruin this whole thing for you, you're never going to like anything. And I'm not saying like, oh, you should forgive all the flaws that you see. There is a point where it's like, okay, that was the last straw and now I hate this. And that's totally fine. That's acceptable. But for me, everything else in Fallout was so enjoyable. I didn't even think about anything that was wrong with it because I was having too much fun. If I'm not having fun because it doesn't make sense, like there's too much in it that's bad, then I notice more of what's wrong. Like seriously, the badder it is, the more I'm going to notice because I want to find the things that I don't like.
The badder. Yeah. The more bad wrong.
The more bad wrong it is.
The more badong.
That's a Kung Pao reference.
Great movie. Another great movie. All right. I think we were all caught up.
Awesome. And I think we're just about we started like 10 minutes late, didn't we? Or 15?
Yeah, about 15 minutes late.
About 15 minutes late. So maybe just a few closing comments.
Yeah.
Did I talk about the story of how I broke my hand?
No.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Tell us how you broke your hand.
Actually, maybe I should save it for a time when I can show the video. Because I got it on video.
What?
I have it on video, me breaking my hand. I didn't show you?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. I have it on video. Because I was wearing my little, it's not a GoPro, but I have like a action camera around my neck. So you can actually see from like, it's like a POV shot. It looks like this. Oh
my gosh.
Falling into a room like that. Sorry, that was terrible. But you get the idea. Like you can like, from my point of view, see my hand go into the rock and then go like this. It's just very split second. Like you can't actually see it break, but you're with me when I fall and it breaks.
Oh, that's okay. You should do a little video, like a little mini story.
I kind of did. It's actually really...
Tater says Broken Hand Mountain.
Kind of broken hand. No, it was called Byron Glacier.
Oh my gosh, Amber, if you make a video, you have to put the theme song for Brokeback Mountain, like on your... Like the do 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 do.
No. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Or the Harry Potter and the Brokeback Goblet is one of the spoof videos I've ever seen. It is so funny. Oh my gosh, that gets me every time. But I can't watch it anymore because what's his face is dead. The guy who played the dad. I almost said Gandalf. Dumbledore.
Oh, they're all dying.
What's his name?
I know. No. I know who you're. But then Maggie Smith. And
I know. So sad.
So sad.
Oh, but the story of me breaking my hand, just very briefly. Basically, I went up to a glacier to film, and I did not have a proper backpack. I had a laptop bag that I had strapped a bunch of film equipment to and was using it like a backpack. So anytime I took a step, it would like swing to the left and it would carry me a little further left, and I'd take a step with the right and it would swing to the right. And I was just in an area I almost said honestly. I stopped myself though. I could have wiped out in this area at any time. Like it was not a dangerous area, but because of the situation I was in with the backpack that I had, it was just like a stupid,
you didn't have proper hiking shoes either.
Yeah, actually they were really not bad or really not good. But I just had already gone up and I was on my way down, which is when most accidents happen. And I was tired.
Yeah.
And my footing came out from underneath me on a loose rock, and I turned around to face towards the mountain to fall onto it because, it's closer to you than the part that's on the downslope. And my hand went right between two rocks, and then I snapped it like that.
Did you hear a snap?
It sounds like in the video you can hear one, but you can't. No. But I felt it afterwards because so pretend this is the broken hand. I could move this finger, which is the broken finger. It's right here. It's snapped and displaced. Now actually that bone right there is the same length as my pinky bone. It's a little shorter, but it's hardly I notice it, but nobody else notices it because my skin is pulling that finger down like this.
Oh.
And I bumped it a couple times and broke it more. So I actually kind of broke it once, and then a week later I bumped it twice and made it worse.
But
what was I saying?
you were describing how you broke your hand, and did you hear it?
No, but I got up and I was like, oh, maybe it's not broken. But when I would do this, I could hear it clicking and feel it clicking here, not here, here. It was the bone because the tendon was pushing one bone to snap over the other one. I was like, that's not a good sound.
And Summit's asking, you getting surgery? No.
Okay, so I've had now 2 doctors say I should get surgery and 2 doctors say no. And I've decided no because the 2 who said no both said, yeah, it's bad, but it could heal and be fine. And you don't need to get surgery for it. But if it heals and it's not fine, you can still get surgery for it. It's like an easy fix. And you turned me on to one of those doctors. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. And if it doesn't heal properly, like it has a bump in it. Like when I hold my hand like this, it's got like that, which will be permanent. Because that's the shape of my bone kind of sticking up now. If that bugs me a lot, because we got arthritis in the family, then I might just go get it fixed. Or if I can't play the piano, I'll go get it fixed. Or typing, that'd be a bummer too, since that's what I do for a living.
But everyone says ouch.
Yeah, it didn't feel good. But also, like, because you'll hear, I do the Peter Griffin thing. Like, you know, when he goes, except I'm like even more like, ooh, that did not feel good. And then I keep talking because I was talking while I was hiking. I was like, yep, you got to be careful when you're going down mountains like this. Most accidents happen. No kidding, was saying that kind of stuff. And I was like, gosh, next time I want a better backpack. And then like, bam, fell.
Calm down, Bear Grylls.
Yeah, really. But I got up and kept talking.
You even like texted the family before and you're like, oh, it's like it's fine. It's an easy trail. Lots of families. I'll be fine.
There were lots of families.
And then you called me later and you're like, hey. Hey.
Don't tell mom.
Don't tell mom.
So everybody in my Discord knew that I broke my hand when it happened because I told everybody. I fell and it hurt and, you know, hopefully it's fine. It'll be fine. And then the next day, it kept me up all night. So I went to the hospital the next day and they took an x-ray and they're like, oh yeah, it's pretty broken. I was like, oh, man. But we didn't know if it needed surgery, but I think that the guy knew. He was like, yeah, this needs surgery. So a week later, I was still filming. I was like still hiking up and carrying things places and setting up, but it was taking so long to pack up, get places, unpack, set everything up that it was not worth it. I got like nothing done the whole time after I broke my hand. And then when the second doctor said, yeah, you need surgery, I was like, okay, I'm not doing that here in Alaska. I'm going home. And then we told my parents, but everyone in my Discord knew.
I knew
that I broke it and I was showing them my x-rays. I was like, don't tell my mom. She would have freaked out. If she knew one of her kids was in trouble.
I mean, she freaks out anyways.
Yeah, she does.
She freaks out over everything.
But
our poor mom.
But we did it. Actually, the last time I broke my arm 15 years ago, and we didn't tell my parents until I knew that I could be in front of them. And like, as you can see, I'm okay. But just so you know, I was in a bad car accident and I broke my arm. So that's like how we break bad news to them.
Yeah.
It's like, as you can see,
all is well. Each other first.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, is this something I should text? No.
Should I call? No, you better wait till you get here.
Wait.
Make sure that they can see you're okay.
BSR says, Amber just got here. You were missed. Aw.
Oh, I missed you guys too. And you know what? I feel so lame about not getting any videos up while I was there, but it was bad.
You have the word every time, like, I'm going to film today.
I had some weird ass bad luck. Like,
Amber, you always have bad luck. Like,
no, I don't always have bad luck. This was bizarre what happened this time.
It was like every single time you tried to do something happened.
Every single time. I even had a murderer on the loose. Like, legitimately, the whole town went on lockdown because some guy killed a woman and was psychotic and on the loose, and nobody knew where he was. So like nobody was out. And I was like, I was going to film that day. And guess where one of the places I was going to film was? It was like almost next door to his business.
Jeez.
I was like, oh, okay, that's not going to work. And then the other place was not far from there. So I was like, well, I can't film there either. So I was like, all right, I'll go film in this other place. Closed the road. So whatever. I had to drive 2 towns away to get, which is like a 2-hour drive.
With your luck, he would have shown up on your...
I thought I saw him getting arrested, but It wasn't him. It was a lookalike.
A lookalike.
Well, I was right behind when all of a sudden an ambulance pulls up, and then I was like, oh, I'll pull over for the ambulance. And then right after the ambulance, it was like squad car, another squad car, like a SUV, like a bunch of trucks. Like next thing I know, there's like 5 cop cars and an ambulance. And I'm like, am I allowed to pass? Like, I want to get out of here. So I'm passing by and I see this guy sit up in the woods like he'd been asleep on the side of the woods, and nobody had approached him. They were like waiting for the cops to get there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did they ever find the guy? Do you know?
I don't know. But I heard that they gave up the search after the first 2 days because they kind of figured he probably wandered off into the woods to, take care of himself.
Oh.
Yeah.
BSR says, I've seen this episode of Northern Exposure.
Okay. I can't say I love the show because I have not seen it recently enough to say that I love it, but I saw that we'd watch it when we were kids.
But that could be like an episode of what we were just talking about, our favorite
Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds, yeah.
I wasn't in his mind. I was in my own mind.
Victim is a 5'4" female, brown hair, blue eyes. She was out working on her YouTube channel. Followers on Discord are really concerned.
Oh my gosh. People on Discord were keeping up with all my bad luck. It was bad. I was at a point where I was like, is this what it's like to get like a sign from God that like, I don't want you doing this YouTube thing? Because it was literally every day and every time I was trying to do stuff, it wasn't working out.
Right before you left, you were so on top of it, I feel like, your channel, and like...
I was really like...
Like you had finally caught up and like, yeah, but we're going to get back there. That's why I'm here.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, I think, all right, it is 1:50.
Oh yeah, we've gone a little bit over the 2.5 hours, but... That is all. We'll do this again in 2 weeks. I don't know if you'll be able to be here.
I should be able to in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. If not, that's fine. I can run it as I usually do, or maybe I can get somebody else to come in. Well, I'll have use of my hand at that point. So it won't be like I have to click through things, but not like I can't click with this hand. I'm so much better now than I was 2 days ago. Like when we decided to do this, when you offered to help me with this, I was like, there's no way I can do a live stream. You were like less than thrilled. I was like, okay.
You were in pain.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll do this again. What do we have to look forward to? I don't think much.
You're working on your Theon Greyjoy
I thought I'd have that out already, but the last few days were just too painful to work on it even. But even breathing hurt.
You're working on that. I think just doing a couple little fun videos and then yeah.
I filmed a few things up there that I can immediately get out, but then I can also get right back on track with Wheel of Time, and I'll eventually do the Avatar stuff. I'm thinking most of my Avatar videos will come out closer to when season 2 is going to come out.
Yeah.
Like they'll be coming out, but it'll be more impactful if I have the bulk of them come out closer to that time. So we'll see. Anyway.
And you might do a mashup with Taters.
Oh, maybe. That would be cool. And we'll have to get your husband involved in that too, because the two of them can educate me on Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
Because I don't know it very well. I'm hungry.
You're just a simple woman.
Thanks. All right. I think we're done though. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. So do you see the little...
oh, geez.
Okay. So click on the swirly blue thing. All right. And see where it says the chat, like end live?
Yes.
You're going to have to do that, but then it's going to ask you a question and you have to say, yes, I want to end it now. All right. So that's it. Thanks for coming here. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Well, there's no bell for, you know what I mean? Do that. If you want to join me on Discord, become a patron. And we do movies every month, which is really fun. Starting at the Bender tier, which is $7 a month.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it.
Throw a comment down.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.
Be good to yourself. Not just okay. Did you do it?
Yeah.
Did you click the yes, end it now?
Stream finished.
Yay. Okay, good. Gosh, thank you.